And we are live, fella. Hopefully, so tonight we have Flash, back Flash. We have Mosley back. And we have our special reaction. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with a few? Anybody? Start with. All right, so that's it. Yeah, yeah, the film. We 6-year-old girls, I can get better. Was there a hashtag? Wasn't it? But, oh yeah, you've got those gangs. Oh,
to, reenact it in the lobby for some fucking reason. I have no idea. But I don't know how
I
old
remember.
the kid is. He's about. Sorry, carry on.
Do you want to finish your thing, or do you want me to?
No, you carry on, mate. You carry
on. Well, basically, have any of you ever seen the film The Warriors from, was it 1979?
Oh, fucking ages ago.
Yeah, long time
I can remember though.
yeah, I watched it. I watched that one.
They opened it in some cinemas in the middle of New York City or something, and there was some violence, some gang violence during that film showing as well. And this story right here reminds me of that, really, and how the mainstream media just blame the film rather than the actual, the gang violence within itself, if you get what I mean.
Well, if you look at the, I don't know if you saw the picture of the kid holding the machete. He's got to be. I
saw the picture, yeah.
It was like 14, 15?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Who turns up at a cinema with a machete?
Yeah, you can't bring your own sweets in, but machete's fucking fine.
Maybe it was Jason maybe it was Jason cosplay.
More of that enrichment in it.
Oh dear, yet more. I mean, how do they? It's just like, and the cope. I'm just having a look on Twitter now, see if I can find some of those hashtags.
I think 7 police got hurt as well. So it wasn't a little scuffle and waving weapons around just to, swing your dick a bit. This was a fucking full-on fight.
Have you ever encountered any, Jackson, in obviously from where you live, any violence in McDonald's, like you would say, or in takeaways or whatever else? Any establishments? Have you ever seen any kind of kicking off?
Oh fucking hell, yeah, loads.
Really?
Yeah, loads. I used to work public safety, so we had like a lot of CCTV as well, and always we'd hear on the radio, call from McDonald's, there's a fucking fight in McDonald's, and sort of being in inner London. We didn't need the ethnic descriptions of the people involved.
Was it IC1? Isn't it IC1? Isn't it the old lingo?
IC1 is white. IC2 is dark European. You're well, not really Turks, but like your Greeks, your Italians. IC3 is black.
That's it. Yeah, I forgot all the lingo.
Yeah, no, we become quite accustomed to that one. We were asking them whether it was IC3 before they even told us, but fucking hell. Yeah, no, some of the kickoffs outside have been pretty magical. I've seen one that sort of spilled over to where there was a grocer stall, and it was a bunch of rockers and Somalians, and I have no idea how they ended up fighting, but I've never seen a pineapple utilised as a weapon. It was quite fucking eye-opening.
A salt with a pineapple.
Do you want to hear some of the tweets from #BoycottView? Some of them are absolutely hilarious. These fucking Twitter's just chugged me over. Right, what we got here then? We've got where 12-year-old Asian youths have a punch-up during Frozen 2 and the Black movie gets banned. 25 separate incidents in 24 hours of screening the film. Are you mad, View cancelled? Maybe you people should be mad at the pricks causing the incidents. No, this isn't even a race thing, so don't even try to make it one. 25 fucking incidents. I mean, what is it? Just like, Jesus.
So this is orchestrated, is it not?
It just seems to be, doesn't it?
It's got to be. I mean, I wouldn't call carrying a machete a little punch up or scuffle. If you're carrying a weapon like that, you're intending to seriously maim somebody. You're not going to go along and give them a tickle, really, is it? It's not the aim of the game, is it?
But it's
they're always using machetes and all that kind of stuff, aren't they? I can remember this. Didn't we talk about it on one of the streams a few weeks back? I think some lad coming back from a night out got his hand severed or something by a gang of these lads. Or something.
That was the Asians, wasn't it? It was the two tree surgeons that helped that old granny who was getting a load of shit.
Oh right.
Joker had violence in it. Why was the film pulled after incidents? No. So why do that to Blue Story?
Because no one fucking shot up the Joker for all of the panic that there was going to be some fucking white man incel uprising. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a good film.
Oh, look at this!
But
one.
I didn't even get a chance to fucking take my safety off.
Here's another one. I think it's disgusting you decide to punish the hard-working production crew and actors of Blue Story because you can't get decent security at shitty venues. It's like, why the fuck should you need security at a cinema? People are going to watch films, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. How do you debate with someone like that? You can't. There's no fucking point. You're just talking to a brick wall, aren't you? If they believe that upping the security is the reason, not having lack of security is the reason for these problems, then it's not worth debating with someone like that.
I've worked security, and if some fucking kid runs in with, I've been stabbed before, but if some fucking kid walks in with a machete and points it at me, my fucking £9 an hour, I'm not going to say, yeah, all right, I'm going to fucking try and wrestle you down. I'm going to say, all right, mate, fucking carry on. I'm going to fuck off and go for a smoke. More security ain't going to do fuck all.
Exactly.
So let me get this straight for you. You cancelled a film with an all-black cast because a couple of Asian youths started a brawl in a Frozen screen, and all I can say is, you're not seeing my money in my lifetime. Jesus Christ.
I bet they're gutted.
I can't get the tone of this. I can't work out whether it's people like your fucking your football mums moaning about the films being cancelled, or they're moaning that it's racist. It seems to be a bit of both there.
Well, because it's a black film, it's racist to pull it, isn't it? After Trouble.
Right, got you.
Yeah. And here come the racists to comment on how films about gang life and violence inspire gang/violence. No one has ever had this energy for films like The Godfather. That's because we didn't feel the need to take a fucking Tommy gun into a fucking Godfather screening. That's why.
Yeah, I go and watch Goodfellas or like Casino because I enjoy the film, not because I want to go and shoot up a cinema. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I went to the Godfather screening with someone trussed up in the boot and stabbed them a few times before I went in.
Yeah, I took a horse's head in just to add some aesthetic to the experience.
Oh dear! Everybody else. It's just absolutely everybody else's fault, isn't it?
Oh, fucking always. It'll be the film's fault next, or it'll be fucking, we've got to build them more community centres so they don't feel the need to, reenact Game of Thrones in the lobby of a cinema. It's just anything like that. There's never a sort of fault, except from our sort of side of politics, to say, all right, well, what were they? Were they mostly black or Asian?
I think it was mostly Asians. Yeah.
I don't know. You get a fair mix in Birmingham, though, don't you? It could be one or either or both, or they're probably all in the same gangs, aren't they?
Well, the photos I saw, they were mostly Asians. So I mean, there were a few blacks, but they're mostly Asians.
See, this is the thing as well, is for all this talk of racial tolerance and that, these fucking ethnic groups that we import for peace, love and harmony, they hate each other. It's like on the fucking public safety unit, there were areas controlled by Somalis, there were areas controlled by Bangladeshis, and if you went to either one of them, if a Bangladeshi went to the Somali estates, they were going to get fucking stabbed. They hate each other.
Well, that's it. People think that, just because they're the same colour, they're automatically going to get on, don't they? Because apparently Africans really hate the American blacks, don't they?
I haven't got a clue.
I think, to be honest, mate, you've only got to look at the social problems they have in their own countries to realise that if you bring them to this country or anywhere else for that,
they're going to bring their problems with them.
Yeah, you're just going to go. If you look, I don't know what the I think is it Bangladesh is the acid throwing capital of the world.
I thought we topped them this year, didn't we?
Well, we probably did because we imported them. If you look at the map of London,
doing the acid attacks that lazy Brits won't do.
We've got the Bangladeshi fucking acid throwing Olympic team.
Yeah, and this is it. If you look at London though, and look at where Bangladeshis, they're the centre of where most of them live. That's where a large proportion of acid attacks in London take place. Which is obviously a coincidence, obviously.
It's weird. It's weird that if only someone could have foresaw that if you pile a load of people straight off the boat into an area together, they turn that into a little version of their own country. Who would have thought that would occur?
Yeah, no, it's not like it's happened fucking everywhere where there's been like mass immigration through history at all. It's like even the Irish going into America just sort of colonised their own little districts.
Well, people tend to, don't they? When they when they go somewhere, like you said, the Irish. Look at the Italians when they went to New York, for example. They formed their own areas. The Chinese did the same thing.
They all had their own little wars as well, didn't they, amongst each other?
Well, that's it, because you form your own. You're with your own people, who they perceive their own people, and they, if there's any kind of fighting, then it's it's rival factions, rival groups, gangs, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And that's just what happens. That's what happens when you bung people into a melting pot. Sorry about the phrase, but that's what takes place.
I think it's human nature. Fucking animals do it. Fish even do it. Exactly. African cichlids and South American cichlids, even though they look similar, recognise a difference, and they'll fucking rip each other to pieces. Yet we seem to think we're that sort of. I mean, I don't like to sort of use animal kingdom comparisons a lot, but humans will naturally segregate. You go to any school where there's like a load of black kids, The black kids will sit with the black kids, the white kids will sit with the white kids. Happens in prisons as well, quite fittingly. But it's a complete sort of push against basic human nature. Is you want to be around your own people.
Yeah,
that's it. Liberals are just too deluded to see that. That's the thing. They just think everyone will automatically be kind to each other despite the differences.
I don't think they're deluded to it. I think some of them are, but I think the people behind it, the orchestrators behind it,
they're aware of it. Yeah,
they know exactly what they're doing and know exactly what their plan is.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, some of the sort of your average liberal.
Yeah, I'm talking about
doesn't know, but fucking.
Yeah. The ones that orchestrate it know what they're doing, but you have these idiot Twitter activists and people like that who honestly do believe that that these people can't do no wrong and all of that kind of stuff, and everyone will just be kind to each other.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the sort of big blue check mark ones.
Yeah,
they're not fucking stupid. They're not. They know exactly what it is,
and
it is just part of the agenda at the end of the day.
Yeah, pretty much.
But don't you think that, like, I don't know how old people are on here, but it seems the acceleration is just, it's like, pedal to the metal. Whereas, even going back, 20 years, you had issues, but not on this scale. It seems like now it's unrelenting, and it will, with this coming election, neither party's going to curb immigration. In fact, the Labour Party is just going to increase it, freedom of movement, etc. It just doesn't seem, it seems to get worse and worse, doesn't it?
Well, we had films like Kidulthood and Adulthood and that Ill Manners film, and none of this shit happened then. Like you say, the acceleration has just been like foot to the floor, hasn't it?
But don't you think that's down to as well, like, they know they're not going to get in trouble. Most of these guys, they'll play the race card. They'll generally get a lighter sentence if they do get a sentence or get any problems. So.
Well, that raiding party thing seems to have taken off over here as well. Where you get a load of enrichment, and they literally just descend on one store and just run all the way through it, ripping stuff out. I saw one. I think it was from like either PC World or Curry's, where they were just running around ripping bits off the display. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
Did you see that one, Jackson?
No, I didn't. What was it? A snatch and run?
Yeah, basically you get like a dozen, like 2 dozen of them. They descend on like PC World or something. They just rip all the stuff up. Just take as much as they can carry.
Oh, fuck. It's like a clever tactic as well, because fuck trying to pick one out in an identity lineup.
Yeah,
it's like even when I got stabbed up and trying to describe him, it was all did he have curly hair? Yes. Did he have a big nose? Did he have big lips? What do you think, mate? Yeah. Doesn't really fucking narrow it down, does it?
No, not at all.
So, yeah, it's good. It's fairly clever sort of tactic. I mean, there's no fucking way. If you swarm in, overwhelm security and that, and, there's 10, 20 just, like, rinsing the shells, what the fuck are you
Well, you're not going to stand up to them, are you? Because you can have at least 4 or 5 peel off and kick the shit out of you, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but don't you think?
Lucky.
Yeah. But don't you think, like, modern technology? When they're stealing phones and I don't know whatever else, surely they got the technology to shut these phones down. If they're stolen, just shut the thing down so it basically makes it worthless, so you can't use it. There must be like encryption codes on it, serial numbers, etc., to make this like.
Sorry, I thought about that one, because think of all the little Bangladeshi unlocking shops that you get. You go to any sort of city centre and there's a stall and they do the unlocking. I guarantee you they know how to break them encryptions.
Yeah, good point.
Unless you put like a hard dead short that makes the phone, like one of them USB things where you put the voltage in and it will just wipe the entire computer. Yeah. Unless you can do something like that, which no manufacturer is going to do. That's the only way I could see you doing it. But yeah, no, they've definitely got ways around it. It's completely illegal, but they don't give a fuck.
No. Who would have thought, in the current year we'd be talking about having to deal with this stuff? Well, 20 years ago we have to deal with this kind of crap.
I mean, they're like fucking Viking raiding parties, aren't they? That's what
they turn up, raid, and disappear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Raid, rape, pillage, set things on fire, and fuck off.
Yeah,
that's about right.
They can't create. Well, they can create. They can create plenty of life that they don't hang around to look after, do they? But They generally destroy, don't they?
Yeah. They can create a fucking mess. That's about it. But yeah, no, I mean that whole sort of magic soil thing where you think you're going to bring them over and all of a sudden that they're going to be on English soil and become innovators and doctors and whatever. And it's not the case. Just look at the states of where they come from.
Well, I think in some ways, like with the empire, we thought that like you give them enough bureaucracy and they'll start looking after themselves. But I mean, like you say, look at the state of India.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is like the cycle as well. Is when we decide that we're going to topple some, Middle Eastern dictator. We decide that democracy is better. We're going to pull these people up out of the gutter, and then what do? They either elect Islamist, democratically elect Islamist parliaments, which causes a nuisance further down the line, or they just fucking start killing each other. Libya used to be, I think, one of the highest living standard in the whole of Africa. And now you can go out into the fucking any town and just buy slaves.
Yeah. So under Gaddafi, it was working absolutely fine, and we decided to fuck it up.
Well,
absolutely.
I've long thought that Middle Eastern countries, they need a democracy because they're just those kind of people. They're the kind of people that need to be ground under a boot heel, aren't they? They don't deal well with freedom, do they?
No, these people need a dictator. If I think fascism would benefit practically everywhere, and it would involve everyone keeping their fucking noses out of everyone's business as well. But the Middle East in particular, like. Syria, I mean, I'd never want to go and live there, but Syria under Assad was a pretty safe place for Christians. Obviously, there was still sort of violence between the factions and that, and it's normally the Muslims, let's be honest. But yeah, any time that you depose these dictators, something fills the void, or even worse, nothing fills the void, and they just tear each other to pieces.
Yeah, all hell breaks loose, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely fucked up.
I honestly think they're gonna they do saber rattle about Iran and stuff like that, but they've got I can't see it, mate. Iran's got far too much clout in and power if you compare it to say something like Iraq or even Libya. So it'll be a big mistake if you're going to go and pick a fight with them. We all know who's behind picking a fight with that as well. So. But I think it'll be a big mistake.
I think if we try and take on Iran, I think that will be World War III. That will
I just can't see them doing it.
The Russians will step in, won't they? And then it'll just be an absolute clusterfuck, won't it?
Yeah, I can't see it.
See, as to what extent they step in, I suppose, because they propped up Assad and they will continue to prop him up, really. But yeah, if they wanted to put sort of full military intervention behind there, then yeah, that's going to be trouble. But I think the other thing that would be the main trigger was looking at Syria. And there was apparently Israeli airstrikes on certain parts of northern Syria, to no one's shock at all. But yeah, that's my main worry, is that Israel decides to overreach, and rather than just target, your sort of token targets, your low value targets, if they decide to attack a Russian armored column or something, I don't think the Russians are going to take too kindly, and then it will be a case of seeing how far the Americans will go to step in for their greatest ally.
Is that what you're saying? You're like, basically, they're not getting the help that they want, so they're going to sort of like move it along by taking it into their own hands and then saying, "There you go, America."
Well, the Americans.
I think they're far too cowardly for that. I think they'll do it. Out of a sort of, I don't know, I want to say overconfidence, but this will be the sort of big reveal, is not so much how far Russia will go, it will be how far America goes to actually defend.
I don't think America are in any fit state to do anything at the moment. I mean, the government is just in absolute civil war, isn't it? I know they can always they always seem to get the cohesion to do anything for the 4B2s, but I still think it'll be difficult because it's just all complete civil war at the moment, isn't it? In the American government.
Doesn't it change there if you declare a state of war? Doesn't then?
Yeah,
some kind of democratic process goes out the window. I don't know how that works.
Especially if they're doing it for our friends with the small hats, isn't it? They can always find unity then, can't they?
The small hats and the large noses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think someone said once before, like, they've been voting and fucking around trying to get a wall for however long. But if you want to go to war, that decision will be approved within 5 minutes. You know, sort of in comparison. It's the same over here. We can fucking piss around for 3 years? Nearly 4 years on Brexit?
Nearly 4, yeah.
Yeah, nearly 4 years on Brexit. But, if we're required to go to war in the Middle East, we'll be there tomorrow.
There are some voices in this country that don't really sit with us, do you know, on our side of the fence, who actually are opposed to, say, war in the Middle East. I mean, what's his name? Galloway, is it Galloway? He's fiercely opposed to wars in the Middle East, isn't he? And he's not.
Yeah,
he's more of a leftist.
Isn't it one of the harbingers of the apocalypse when you start agreeing with George Galloway?
Yeah, I know. When you read his tweet and you agree with him, I know it's a desperate moment, isn't it?
Fucking hell. Who was it I found myself agreeing with the other day? It was some fucking absolutely filthy leftist. Said something about economics or something about like hyper-capitalism being evil, and I almost clicked like, and I thought, I will be a bandit. I will lose fucking hundreds of followers if that shows up that I've liked that.
It'll be social media suicide.
Clicking like on Owen Jones.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, fucking. Oh, it was no, that was it. It was fucking Russell Brand.
Oh,
was
Jesus.
It? Yeah, it was Russell Brand talking about the no porn thing, how porn is actually quite dangerous. And I was like, okay, fair. I was like, oh no, Russell Brand. No, I don't even want to click the button. It looks sticky.
This no porn thing is really, really confusing me. Because we know who wants porn, so why is there such a large movement against it? Because all the people that seem to be against it are generally their puppets, aren't they?
Well, if you, I think it was in the West Bank, where during one of the fucking occupations of the West Bank, I could be wrong on this. I heard the story secondhand, but to demoralise the Palestinians, these people would broadcast like hardcore pornography. They would sort of hack their news channels and just constantly be blasting porn at them, and they weaponised porn. And that's basically exactly what they've done over here. It's just, we think that we're free in doing it.
Well, it's porn plus like unlimited weed, isn't it? That's the other porn plus unlimited weed plus, people on benefits having plenty of money to get themselves pissed up at the weekend as well, isn't it? It's those three things they've used to make people docile, haven't they?
Yeah, it's watering down society's strengths, isn't it?
It's divide and conquer. You're basically creating a subset of people who don't touch weed, who don't watch porn, who aren't going to be sitting there nutting all over their chests every fucking night. They're going to be out looking after their kids, but that's not going to be the white man in this situation. So essentially, what it is this sort of consumerism is coming from us, and it's weakening us. It's not weakening, the hordes of people who are coming in who, rightfully see porn as fucking abhorrent.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely not weakening the Muslims, although I do believe if they are here a couple of generations, I think they'll probably end up the same as us. I can't imagine Islam being able to hold against the onslaught that we've taken.
Well, the problem with that is not so much holding against the onslaught, it's the path of redemption. Because I'm a Catholic. If you fuck up, you go to confession and you try not to do it again. That's the sort of short of it.
Mm.
But in Islam, you've got an easy way out. If you've been a degenerate and you've been smoking weed and, swinging your dick around and watching porn and whatever, you could be the absolute, worst piece of shit, but automatically redeem yourself through martyrdom. And that's what I think tends to happen with a lot of these people, because you hear in the papers, whenever there's been a suicide bomber, oh, he never really took the religion seriously, we didn't know. And I think some of that might actually be true, because I think what happens is they get their sort of, maybe they go to mosque, maybe their family comes over, sees that they're being a degenerate, and then they sort of put into them that, well, look, you need to redeem yourself, and they think, okay, fastest path to redemption is to go to a concert in Manchester and blow myself up in a crowd of kids, because that's pretty much what their religion teaches. So I don't think it's so much that we can corrupt it. I think what will happen is if they try and, sort of get them as they've done us, you'll just get a lot more of that. You'll get a lot more sort of Muslims realising, sort of waking up a bit and then just going and doing the completely wrong thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw, there were those protests in Birmingham about the like teaching homosexuality in schools, and a lot of it was the Muslims protesting. Well, they've now come down, haven't they, on this thing, basically saying it's illegal now to protest against this, teachings in the school. So they have come down on them in some strange manner, don't they?
They don't care about it being illegal because they're a protected class, aren't they? This is where their protected status is going to work against the people that want to use them for their ends, isn't it?
It's a very dangerous game the people in charge are playing, to be honest. Very dangerous game.
It's one of those ones where you don't really know who you want to win, because on one hand, I don't want my fucking kids learning that shit, and I will be quite vocal about it. But on the other hand, you think if it's a victory for them, that's just another sort of another string on their bow. They've got something that we would never be able to accomplish because we're white.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
because that was hilarious. Do you remember Jess Phillips going down and lecturing them about LGBT values? That was just hilarious. That was, wasn't it?
Oh, that was funny as fuck. I wanted them. I was genuinely just hoping stones at her.
It'd have been good to see, right? Yeah.
Speaking of religion, do we want to go on to the chief rabbi? Has come out.
this could be dangerous, but
we'll try and stay within the lines on this one as much as we can.
Boundaries.
Try not to upset YouTube. Try not to upset YouTube too much.
I've got my finger on my mute button.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Is that the eject button?
I'm going to the gym tonight, and I don't want a dumbbell to fall on my head. So yeah.
Yes. Well, you haven't got information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton, have you?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Chief Rabbi has warned Jeremy Corbyn is unfit for office over Labour anti-Semitism concerns. The Chief Rabbi has criticised Jeremy Corbyn, saying the soul of the nation is at stake, and the upcoming general election. I mean, is this literally what you call a quandary, where you've got it's like Hobson's choice? It's like, do you vote? It's like that meme, isn't it? Your fingers hovering over the bottom. It's like against the chief rabbi or vote for Jeremy Corbyn, isn't it?
Yeah. Was that on the front of the Mail?
I got this one from the Metro, the NPC.
Oh, it was the
Daily.
Metro? 'Cause there was a huge thing on the front of the Mail, wasn't it? They ran with it, I think. Yeah.
This is the one that's confused me the most, is the Labour anti-Semitism thing.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Corbyn's right-hand man, John McDonnell, he's a communist. Like a proper fucking out-and-out communist. He's been at all the rallies and see with the flags. And if anyone does well under communism, it's the fucking bin lids.
Yeah.
And so now all of this coming out in the thing about this one I can't quite work out.
Yeah, I can't figure out.
It's totally confusing, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't figure out who's behind, not wanting Corbyn to get into power. Yeah, it's very strange, So Corbyn's not an anti-Semite, It's just.
Well, I mean, Corbyn's
bullshit,
absolutely. Unless they literally just want neocons, because he's absolutely not a neocon, is he?
Are you saying they can't control him as well as they could say someone like Tony Blair?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Tony Blair didn't even need controlling, did he? He knew what he was supposed to do, and he just cracked on with it, didn't he? A bit like Theresa May and Boris to a degree as well. They just know what they're supposed to be doing, don't they? Whereas Corbyn doesn't, does he?
No, and I think they might get some pushback from Corbyn on certain issues. I think
national all the stuff he wants to nationalise. That'll be the first thing, won't it?
I was trying to read up on that the other day, the nationalising under EU legislation, and it's very, very difficult.
Mm.
So you want to stay in the EU and nationalise things, it's sort of like a contradiction in terms.
I don't know, has he got some sort of secret secret manifesto that we don't know about, where he's just got some really like based stuff that he's going to just crack off? I don't get it.
I've never even heard him out and out say that he was pro or fucking pro Remain or pro Leave. He's been so sort of quiet on the sort of more hot button issues, except the stupid shit. But yeah, it's a fucking weird one. I think the point that you made about the neocons is actually quite a good one, because I never actually thought of it like that. I thought more, McDonald would be a string in their bow, but
yeah, I think it's just they're off the reservation in that way, aren't they? They're communists. They're not neocon. Because if you look at our migration woes, the reason migration is never going to decrease unless we have like some sort of fascist, like proper right wing government, is that Labour and everybody else wants them because they just want to destroy whiteness, and the Tories want them because they want low wages. They want to pay their housekeepers and employees less, don't they? So
Yeah.
both sides of it want immigration. Whereas Corbyn's going to start fucking with the money, isn't he?
I think he could piss around with it. Do you know what's the biggest thing that interests me is because I've said this. I think Labour will get more seats than we anticipate. But if Corbyn loses, when Corbyn loses the election, what is going to happen to the Labour Party? Are we going to see, like you say, McDonald take his place, and we're going to see a more socialist kind of government, opposition, or are we going to go back to more like the Blair years? What do you think of that?
I don't think he'll lose. I think he'll lose. Sorry, I don't think, because how many fucking elections has he lost now? He's held on by the skin of his teeth to the leadership for so long, and that's always struck me as odd.
Well, you know why he keeps clinging on to the leadership, because all of those people who are basically our guys bought those £3 memberships, don't they? And they keep voting Corbyn to fuck the Labour Party up, don't they?
Yeah, but that's what I mean, though. Is it like when he loses the election, what road are Labour going to go down? Are they going to continue with this kind of socialist, like lefty socialist party with McDonald at the helm if Corbyn gets booted, or are they going to go and revert back to the more Tony Blair, New Labour kind of like Labour Party that we saw, say, 15, 20 years ago?
I reckon they'll stay as there are. If they're sensible, they'll try and win by attrition, because it'll be more fucking Tory austerity that they can campaign on. It'll be more, sort of social issues. The NHS can't fucking cope. The NHS has got, I reckon, 10 years being charitable before things really, really get bad. And I think they'll campaign off that. I think they'll sort of just bide their time. They're not going to win in the 12th. I'm pretty certain.
What do you think to the Lib Dems? Because they're polling really well at the moment, aren't they? But I can't honestly see people getting in that booth and putting the cross in that box. I just can't see it.
That party is essentially the two things I hate the most: liberalism and fucking democracy. So,
so that's a no then, Jackson.
No, I have not. I'll be honest with you. When you said Lib Dems, I almost went fucking who?
Mm.
No, I've not. The last I heard of I actually followed them.
Do you want to hear the latest YouGov poll? The latest YouGov poll is as the Conservatives on 43, Labour on 32, Lib Dems on 13, Brexit Party on 4, and Green Party on 2%.
Okay,
Could you imagine?
Surprised at the Green Party having 2%.
Could you imagine voting for the Greens? Could you imagine how desperate you'd have to be?
I think 2% must be the population of Brighton, because I think that's the only place they've got an MP, and it's
yeah.
I was going to say, Mosley, you say desperate, but you mean retarded, don't you?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, retarded. Desperate and retarded.
Yeah, it's kind of because as well, how many MPs have the Lib Dems got, because they've got all those cheating ones, all the ones that moved over. I mean, they're going to get wiped straight out, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, we discussed this last week. Obviously, Jackson wasn't on last week. Are you voting in this election, Jackson, or are you going to spoil your ballot, or what?
I haven't voted since Brexit. That was when democracy just sort of, the scales come away from the eyes. I might draw a swastika on the ballot. I haven't decided.
Yeah. Did you hear our cut out and keep guide on how to spoil your ballot? last week.
No, I didn't.
Do you want, it's a knob with pubes and 3 spurts.
That's basically it. Yeah. We took us 20 minutes to get to that conclusion last week. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
This is what they panic when they say the right wing are planning things on the internet. This is what we're fucking planning.
Yeah.
How dressed to draw a cock on our ballots.
Oh, God.
I thought it'll make your own box and write Mosley next to it.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Yeah, England lives.
BUF, write BUF, and then write a box and then tick that.
That's what I think. If we get enough people do it, they might actually form a party. So yeah, it's not a bad idea.
I think that might be an idea. You know, maybe we should get some sort of movement together where everybody spills the ballot in the same way.
Exactly the same way. That'd be a good idea. Yeah. It'd be entertaining anyway.
We give the little old ladies who count the ballots something to think about, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, dear. When they see the knob. Oh dear. Can you imagine reading it out? We have 1,500 knobs.
Yeah.
Penises.
Yeah, because like you say, they've got to register it, haven't they? How it was spoiled.
Yeah.
Oh, have they really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, fuck me, I didn't. Oh, this is brilliant. Okay, I am going to... I've got some ideas.
That's it. See, I always say, I don't care what you do when you get in that booth, but you must go and vote in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, they will take it from you.
Do you reckon they manipulate? I reckon they manipulate votes, don't they? They must do.
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of fraud, on the day taking place.
But yeah, how a ballot paper is spoiled, it is recorded, Jackson.
Brilliant. Okay, I might actually register to vote now. I'm going to write a fucking essay.
I think today's the cut-off, just to throw that in.
Oh, is that postal voting cut off?
Is that postal voting? I think. Is it? Yeah, the postal vote. I don't know when the actual to go down the polling station is.
Well, it's actually on the front page of Good.
I've actually said I'm just going to go down. I'm going to spoil the ballot, but I'm going to go down there and see if I can find my local Lib Dem or Labour MP, or sorry, Labour candidate to have a bit of a conversation with, so to speak.
Ask him about. I think. Oh, Jackson, you know the recent Groiper stuff. What do you think to that?
Yeah, the Nick Fuentes thing.
What do you think? So I was thinking maybe our USS Liberty should be the King David Hotel bombing.
That's not actually a terrible idea, but I do like the whole. I mean, this is. Oh, was that me?
No, that was Flash.
No, it was me.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I've got a new mic and I'm fucking useless with technology, but yeah, I like. I think the main thing of this is just absolutely just pulling the curtain back and showing Conservative Inc. for what it actually is. I mean, Charlie Kirk has been a knob. Everyone's known that Charlie Kirk's a fucking knob for ages, but when you've got like sort of random people coming up and asking them awkward questions, that is quite. Because what it does as well is it makes people who haven't got a clue, even people who are there to support him, when people start mentioning things like USS Liberty and how's what's the one? How's anal sex going to save the West?
Yeah.
When people start fucking saying
how's anal
like
sex going to win the culture war? That was.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. But yeah, when people start asking these questions and they see the absolute shit fit that they get back from it, I think that's genuinely quite a good way to start waking people up, because if people don't know what the USS Liberty are, I guarantee you they're going to go and fucking Google it now. Did you
see the follow up one when he was asking that bloke to renounce identity of Roper?
No, what was that the Charlie Kirk thing again?
Yeah. He says, do you renounce identity of Roper? He kept calling him identity of Roper.
Fucking brilliant. But yeah, the whole sort of Conservative Inc. thing, I'm looking forward to that dies, because at least with the Liberals, they're your enemies, but then, you sort of get these fence sitters and, you got the Stefan Molyneux and the Paul Joseph Watsons, and they skirt just along the middle and you can never quite tell. But I would rather them all just completely just be exposed for what they are, in it for the fucking money, got the integrity of a fucking bacteria. But yeah,
I don't think I'd mind those people so much if they got out of our way. If they decided they were going to be that first rung on the ladder, and then let people progress. But the problem is that they're gatekeepers. That's the main problem with them, isn't it?
Well, they'll never want to be that rung because we are so absolutely politically toxic to anyone that they don't even want any association whatsoever. So, you never. I mean, you might see them flirt with the idea, but then you got to remember as well. And part of me can't even blame them for this because some of them are earning fucking solid money, riding the fence and being a sort of classical liberal mouthpiece. So Paul Joseph Watson, he ain't poor from what he's done. And you'd be putting the gun to your head. You'd get a lot of alt-right support and all that, but he's going to get dropped by all of his sponsors, all of his. I don't know if he's still with Infowars or whatever. But if he was to suddenly come out as alt-right or far-right or whatever you want to call us, then he's going to take a massive. Yeah, he would take a massive financial hit. I reckon he'd lose hundreds of thousands if he'd done something like that. So, yeah, part of me can't blame him. I don't like him, but definitely don't fucking trust him.
Yeah, especially when it comes to people like Ben Shapiro, because you can't blame them at all, because they're just doing what comes naturally, aren't they?
Are you saying it's almost? Are you saying it's almost in their blood?
Something like that.
I think the thing that got me the most with Ben Shapiro was when they were doing I think it was a March for Life, a pro-life rally, and the little fucker stopped to read an advert for his sponsor in the middle of it. So he's given this impassioned fucking speech about how it's wrong to kill babies. Yeah, fine, there's something I wholeheartedly agree with him on. And then he stops and reads, right, now a word from our sponsors. And I just thought, fuck me, you do not do the stereotype any favours, do you, boy?
That's brilliant. That is. I'll have to look up that.
I can't find it anywhere. I've looked around for it. I think you can get the whole thing on YouTube. It's hours and hours long, and I can't be asked to sit through all that. But yeah, he does. He genuinely starts. I think it's like a business consulting agency or something. And he stops. He stops midway through, and he starts fucking plugging them. It's unreal.
But like you say, if with liberals and lefties or whatever, you know where you stand because they're your enemy, so to speak. But with these conservatives, they're like that chameleons, aren't they? They sort of blend in the background and never quite reveal their true self to you, really. Even though you know deep down what they are, there's something about them that's shady. And like you said, I wish they would just go either way, but then they lose the revenue. So
it absolutely
they're the worst.
It absolutely.
It's like they kind of run along with whatever will get the most views or make the most money for them, isn't it? They'll run along with the current stories and all that stuff, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely amazes me how quickly the Brexit. But as soon as UKIP started coming anywhere towards our sort of ideas, that was it. They folded it straight up, and the Brexit party was straight in there, wasn't it, to hoover up those votes?
Yep.
I think UKIP was fucked the minute Farage left, because you went through I think it was the first. They changed leaders every 5 minutes for the first few months after. It was Henry
Paul
Bolton
first, was it?
Was it Paul Nutt? I don't know. I think it was either Paul Nutt or Henry Bolton who took it first.
Wasn't there a woman who was in charge a day?
Oh yeah.
The Tory, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember her name. It was ridiculous. He was in and out someone gets in and out of a bath, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, even a woman had the sense to go, yeah, fuck this, I don't want this. This one's a bit. But I think UKIP was just fucked from the minute the referendum happened and they lost their relevancy, and Farage didn't even have a seat.
Well,
he didn't even fan it, did he?
It was an absolute tactical fucking balls up, wasn't it? Because what should have happened was they should have done whatever they could to get Farage to do another 6 months, consolidated their power base, and they probably could have had a good run at Labour then, couldn't they?
Well, especially with the way Theresa May fucked things up as well. If they had kept a strong leadership and not gone the sort of the Gerard Batten route of just, you know, grab the Hey Fellow Kids YouTubers off the internet to try and bring things back. If they hadn't gone down that sort of route and they'd sort of kept their main base, I think, yeah, they could have had something there. They could have actually got a fair few seats, but when May was fucking up, as she did.
And now them them YouTubers that they did get in the party as well, who'd they get? They got Sargon, didn't they? They got Paul Joseph Watson and Count Dankula or something, didn't they? They got all them in, and now that UKIP's going nowhere, they've all jumped ship. They've all left the party now, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think Paul Joseph Watson sort of read the wind and jumped over to the Brexit Party just before the actual elections. Yeah, he sort of, you know, I had the sense to go, oh, fuck this. The Sargon thing was absolutely hilarious. It was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. Seeing him shout at reporters thinking that he's being Donald Trump and intimidating, and it's just, yeah, who the fuck thought that was a good idea?
Yeah, I'd like to have sat down, mate, in the room, be a fly on the wall, and see who actually came, whose idea it was, and how it sort of nurtured and gained momentum. Yeah, fucking awful.
I want to see the meeting with whoever, because I reckon they're fucking definitely out of a job.
Oh, they're gone now. But do you know what? I did read somewhere how much revenue Sargon makes from his YouTube, but it was thousands a month.
Is it like
it's something stupid.
Like 25
I think it's
grand
like
a
16
month or something, or is it more?
Because it's got like 3 or 4 channels, hasn't it? Sargon.
Yeah.
I think it's about 16 grand on his main channel. So yeah, he's not fucking. He ain't starving, the boy. I can tell with that cunt, but
yeah, yeah. This is it. So you've got to look at it from this perspective. If he's earning all this revenue, even if he does, and he wouldn't anyway, but would he jump to our side and lose all that money because of in one fell swoop that his revenue would disappear? You know, and at the moment he's just obviously just raking it in for as quick as possible. So obviously he doesn't know how long it's going to last. So he's obviously going to try and make the money while he can. But I can imagine, you know, he has no intention of coming this way anyway. But even if he did,
no, he never would, and I don't think he'd be welcomed here, to be honest.
No, that's it. That's it.
Well, he's done too much disingenuous stuff. I don't think it's so much like his political views. It's more to do with how disingenuous Sargon is, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
it's the arrogance. I cannot stand the fucking unwarranted arrogance. I don't like arrogance in general, but the fucking whole Spencer thing. And I'm no fan of Richard Spencer at all. And my initial thing when they had that big debate, which sort of, you know, kicked the alt-right up the arse a little bit, is when they had that debate on New Year's with him and Spencer and all that. What I initially thought was that it was going to be sort of set up like an easy win for Sargon, because yeah, I'm not a fan of Spencer for many reasons I won't go into, but I thought, yeah, okay, it's going to be, he's going to fucking reign supreme and this, that, and the other. But no, he got absolutely destroyed. And it was brilliant. And that was the driving force that sort of brought back the movement for a little bit. I don't know what the fuck's happened with it now. It's all sort of died a death, but
I think
at least it got people talking.
I think we're going to take some questions from chat. Isaac Rhodes wants to ask you. He says,
"Oh fuck!
Oh, do you know him?
I know him. Yeah, I know him."
He says, "What would we realistically need to make to stop the great replacement of demographics?"
Is that for me?
Yeah. How do we stop the great replacement, basically?
Well, I'd say mass deportation, strong government, a very strong government, not a fucking democratic government, a fascist government, if you like. And, yeah, just close borders, sensible immigration policy, in that we don't fucking need them. We've got enough people of our own we can train. And, yeah, start fucking sending people back.
I think if you were to do it politically, I think the first thing we have to do is just like make racism great again. We've just got to. I think what we need to do is get people is make it okay for people to be kind of to talk about this stuff openly. I think that might be I think that would be like the first stage of it. I think the second stage for me would like be a solid civic nationalism. You know, if you're going to do it by degrees, I think the next section would probably be like solid civic nationalism. Like, I mean, like proper border enforcement, kicking people out.
Well, you don't need ethno-nationalism if you kicked out all the foreigners.
Yeah,
I mean civic nationalism anyway.
To be honest, you don't even need to enforce your borders. All you got to do is stop the place being a draw, haven't you? All you got to do is stop the Gibbs, and I think you get rid of half of them without even costing you too much.
I think the demise of the NHS could help with that.
I don't know. I think even if we did stop all the Gibbs and made them pay for the NHS and all that, I don't think we're still not going to compare to Mogadishu, are we? It's still going to be nicer than Mogadishu, so I think they're still going to come.
Yeah, but
they probably won't come in the same numbers.
Mainland Europe will look like a curry to a piss head once you cut off the Gibbs, though, won't it?
That's it. They can fuck off to France.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, give them to France. Make them France's problem. Right, we got any?
We've got another question, I think.
Tesco Propaganda Ministry wants to ask: is there any semi-optical current political figure we could rally around like Fuentes in the US yet? Fuentes isn't political, though, is he?
He's not like an official politician. He's just like a political sort of pundit, really, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like a shit poster, isn't he?
But in terms of what over here, I would say. Not really. Not unless Nick Griffin wants another whack at it.
Mark Collett? What do you think on the Mark Collett question, Jackson?
I don't mind Mark Collett, but I mean, the whole BNP thing was a bit... I think he could have probably stuck by that a little bit more, but the BNP, it sort of died a death now. I think we need something new. I don't think any of the current solutions we've really got are going to cut it for what we actually need.
I mean, my thoughts on the PWR. I think they'd probably be better as like a political pressure group. Directing people on who to pressure during big votes and things like that. What do you think to that idea?
Sorry, mate, my microphone was muted. Shit with Discord. Anytime I go to click on the chat window,
No, I think you're right. He basically said, it's some new group that Mark Collette's got. He's gonna form like a political party, but would it be better for like a pressure group to begin with, rather than go straight in as a party? So you can put pressure on people at the moment, try and influence things, from an outside perspective, rather than try and go and gain seats at the moment. I don't know what you think about that.
No, I think just start straight off on a political party. I think sitting on our hands is no good. It's just, I mean, to get any sort of far right political party into anywhere close to power is already like, pissing uphill. It's not going to be an easy task, and it's going to take years and years and years, and things are only going to get worse. So I think now, especially with the sort of turmoil with Brexit and the elections, it might be a good, not go sort of really overt with it, just sort of slip it in under the radar.
Do you think
maybe mask it.
Do you think maybe infiltrating For Britain would have been a better idea then?
Nah.
No.
No, I've never. I've never really trusted like the leadership there. Fucking Amory Walters. She's been pretty good on some of the pro-white things that she said, but
I was never a fan of For Britain either, to be honest. Since that party formed. Yeah,
I'm not gonna. Cast my dice behind a party that's led by a fucking militant lesbian. If I'm being quite honest with you,
she's basically Labour, isn't she? Because she comes from
Yeah, she was Labour, yeah,
and she has a lot of Labour ideas, doesn't she?
I think my initial reaction was to that she should keep her nose in muff and out of politics.
There's a couple of questions in the chat about the current BUF and Gary Rakes and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously, I think, to be honest, the fascism thing is good, but I just think they need a new aesthetic to it, because I think the moment you mention fascism to anybody, but it seems to be this dirty word. They don't seem to understand the actual, the meaning behind it and what.
It's kind of like one of them words that's lost its meaning, isn't it? because
it's bullshit. It's bullshit,
Yeah.
to be honest. Because if you actually read about it, it's actually quite interesting. If I actually picked up a book on Mosley or whatever,
Yeah.
and just sat down and read a couple of hours, they'd actually say a lot of the questions. Even like I've got a book, 100 questions on fascism. It's really easy. You can read it in about an hour. You can mark points which are interesting to you. And to be
Yeah.
honest, most people will be thinking, that's not.
I've got it on my shelf.
Yeah, that's it. But most people hear the word fascism, though, Jackson, and straight away they think of Hitler, they think of World War II, the propaganda that's been drummed into them, and they almost like close their ears to any kind of like any ideas that they may have. The best way to go.
They will agree with you. You can say, okay, I want a strong government. I want rule of law. I want name fucking any sort of fascist principle, like to your average, say, down the pub civic nationalist, and they will agree with you up until the point where you call it what it is, and then they'll go, what fuck, and they don't think of the good fascists like Franco or Hitler or yeah.
Are you implying there's a bad fascist somewhere?
There's probably one. I mean, Mussolini was a bit ineffectual, but I wouldn't say bad.
No, I mean the thing is, if you talk to him as well you say to him, well, what about like your foreign policy with us sticking our beak out, in not keeping it out of foreign affairs, not invading kind of other countries, and they'll agree with you. And I say, well, that's a BUF kind of Mosley point. He wanted the forces as a purely strategic kind of defense mechanism. So, straight away you've agreed with a fascist point, off the bat. So there's so many you can pick out.
It is military isolationism it just makes the most sense if you think about it. If you're not going into you've got no real other reason to start poking your nose in business in the Middle East and all that. Something that happens in fucking Mogadishu is of no consequence to us in the long term or the short term.
Absolutely.
But if we kept our nose out of it, saves us money, saves us lives, and that's the sort of the most simple way of putting it. It's just sort of, stay the fuck out. It doesn't concern us.
But to me, that's the book I would recommend anyone to read, because the guy who was, if Mosley was English, 100 questions on fascism. If they're like just vaguely interested in it, just read it, because it's just so easy to digest. You can like go backwards and forwards. You can read points. And it's there are other books he wrote which are good, but I think that's the book I would point people to in the beginning. Absolutely.
Right, so I've got a couple more for you. Your name, is it based on National Action?
I'm not. If it was, I'm not going to fucking admit it.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it was, I'm not about to fucking admit it, am I? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say a hard no on that one.
Yeah. What do you think of the DIE, the Distribution Integralism in Environmentalism movement?
Oh, I think we've got enough pro-gay parties as it is.
What do you think to the term third positionist? Do you think that's probably a better... Is it optically a better thing that we should be getting behind?
So, yeah... I like I do like the optics of fascism. I definitely wouldn't want to surrender the sort of, the symbolism of it, of the fascists and all that. But yeah, I think the word has just been so fucking tainted now. So I think third positionist is probably a better one. But I think third positionist, when people say third positionist, I think they tend to refer to it as economics as well. So I don't know, maybe a bit of a rebrand, but yeah, that's probably much more normie friendly than what it actually is.
I mean, I know we all like our comfy uncle, but do you think he's something that we should be kind of leaving behind to kind of get some normies on board, or?
Yeah, I think that's I think that's definitely wise. I mean, you're gonna have people sort of. You'll get the base, they'll come along, it'll be slow, it's going to be an uphill battle trying to get people. And then if you start throwing out the salutes, I think they're going to fuck off quite quickly. Cause...
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, the problem is it is cringe, isn't it? I mean, we all like our comfy uncle. I'm not disavowing our comfy uncle for those in chat, but the problem is it has become cringe, hasn't it? for normies.
It's when you start to see people like doing it. You know, what was it? I think Charlottesville, where they were starting to wear these
Plastic
like,
style helms,
300
weren't they?
Yeah, plastic style helms and their fucking beer guts hanging over their got mittens belt.
And the combats, and they're looking like you've just fucking crawled out of a sewer, and it's just like it's not a good look, is it?
Yeah, no, the originals were definitely better in that regard in terms of optics. So yeah, when it sort of crosses over to that, I mean, it's a good discussion. You know, you can have the sort of discussion eventually, not at the moment, because you'll get yourself fucking arrested.
Yeah,
and this is why I have to be careful when I go to pubs, because you know, fucking 5-6 pints in, and you know the questions, and
you start telling the truth out loud.
That's it. Yeah, I start dropping some highly explosive.
We had a friend who we used to stream with that fell in with some very stupid people that was most probably had a Fred in it.
Oh shit!
Yes.
Hang on, I'm going to type the name in the chat.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, yeah, like you say, we're not disavowing anybody, but that comes later. You know, talking about those kind of things, that comes later in the conversation when they're on board, so to speak. You know what I mean? That doesn't come at the beginning, because I think everyone has a journey, and everyone's journey's longer. You know, people's journeys are different lengths, and people take quick time to get here, or they take a long time to get to a position. And I think that if you push someone too quick, I think you'd find a lot of people would just drop out, and then you've lost them forever. Would probably be over the top, but for a long time.
I think Serdic's on the wind up. He said thoughts on the Polish. I'll stay out of this one for optical reasons.
Right, I know this is the thing, is when I made a mistake in tweeting that fucking link out, because I know a lot of I call them mates, but they're the fucking bane of my life. But yeah, Serdic knows full well my thoughts on the Polish, and it's not particularly positive.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. Are they the JCBs of Europe? Is that Europe?
They are the JCBs of Europe.
Yes, they are
definitely the JCBs of Europe.
Yeah,
you know, they've got all that beauty, and they've got all that beauty and natural resources, and you know, based religion and whatever, and they're over here cleaning toilets. So take of that as what you fucking will.
Yeah, I think, and their women do like a bit of coal burning, don't they?
They really do. This is what people don't.
I can vouch for that. Yeah, on my street.
Oh, I can vouch for that.
My mate used to live in a lot of shared housing. Basically, there used to be like Polish couples in the same house as him, and like what had happened is the bloke would get drunk, and the woman, and then he'd end up fucking banging the missus in another room. They're just fucking degenerate, totally.
Yeah,
grim, and they're fucking high maintenance as well. It's like every Englishman that I've ever known that's been stupid enough to date an Eastern European woman has said how high maintenance they have been. You know, they expect you to fucking give them the world and give you fuck all back. Bit like all women, really, but, you know, turned up to 11.
So, got another question here. Are people who larp by wearing leather coats and jackboots detrimental to the optics of the movement? I think we've already covered that one, haven't we? We're not disavowing, but we know that it belongs in the past, don't we?
Yeah, but like I said, that comes later on
another
once you're on board.
And another thing, if we do want to become ethnically British, why are we holding Germans in such high esteem? I mean, we have our own history that we can get behind, don't we?
The thing is, if you said to me, 3 or 4 years ago, I think you should read Uncle A's book, then I would have said to you, well, there'd have been a bit of an argument, I'm not into that kind of stuff, and you probably would have pushed me away. Whereas, you have to let people take a natural progression in some ways. And then once they get on board, then you can start talking about reading material from different people, not just our uncle, our favourite uncle, but, other people as well. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a very cautious game you've got to play. Otherwise you can lose people. Probably.
I would also be wary if people do flip sides that quickly, because
Oh yeah.
It's it took me quite a long time I was back in the day, believe it or not, I was very fucking pro-Israel. I was very, sort of I was a Gavin McInnes conservative
Yeah.
thing, but I was never
Not Charlie
because-
Kirk. Not Charlie
Oh.
Kirk.
I wasn't quite Charlie Kirk. But yeah, no, it did take
Yeah,
a
it
fair
does,
few years of sort of going through it, and yeah,
I've
If
never.
someone- Sorry, go on.
No, carry on, mate. I've never been a lefty. I've never, some people come from the left and drift towards the right, or whatever you want to call it. But I've never been the left. I've always been quite patriotic, whatever, not just talking sporting terms. I'm always talking, very proud of my country, this, that, the other. But like you say, it's been a very slow process. It didn't just happen overnight. All of a sudden, I found, these books, and I see, oh, I'm in this position.
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
pretty much the same thing for me.
isn't it? It's like Brexit sort of started.
Yeah,
To snowball it quite a lot, and then all of a sudden I started getting reading and going along. It's what's that, 3.5-4 years ago now, so it's definitely not just happened overnight.
Yeah, I think
agree.
it took me about the same amount of time.
I agree with Jackson though. If you've got people flipping, like you flip a coin, then you've got to worry about their true intentions and who they really are.
Yeah, and if anywhere's going to get infiltrated by the feds,
It's
as has happened, quite a few times in our sort of movements and that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think,
it's
I think if
definitely
you're
gonna be us.
joining any group that is any part or has ever been any part of the group known as AW, I think you need your head testing.
What's put that one in the chat for me? I might be thinking of something completely different.
Yeah, that one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's like if you want to speak to a policeman, just join one of those groups. I think is my opinion.
But that's the other thing is, it's quite fucking annoying because if they keep us sort of atomized online and just paranoid and jumping at shadows, because this is what they want as well. They know we're not going to start fucking bombing buildings and shooting things up. You get the odd outlier here and there, like fucking New Zealand and that, which does us no favours. But they know that we aren't the fucking problem. But the thing is if they keep us in this sort of constant paranoia, you don't want to go and meet people because you don't know if you're going to show up and get a pair of fucking bracelet slaps on your wrist. And that's their sort of game with it. And if they keep everyone online, it stops people getting out in the streets.
Yep.
And if you keep everyone online, they can just kick you off a platform. If you get like decent amount of traction and all that, eventually they're going to take notice of you, and then eventually all of these social media companies, whatever, and it's not just even them, the banks can absolutely fuck you now. There's people kicked off of payment processes. There's people, having their bank accounts shut.
That's crazy, isn't it? Well, to be honest, if your money's under your mattress, it's probably a better option anyway for interest anyway.
Oh, not where I live, it fucking ain't.
Okay. We've actually got one sensible question. What do you think about?
Really?
I've lost it now. But the question was, it was about Mosley and the unification of Ireland, because he was big on that, wasn't he? What do you think to the unification of Ireland?
I am not too good on the whole Ireland question, the whole politics, and that just seems to get a little bit autistic there. I know Mosley was quite keen on sort of a pan-European sort of identity.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on the pan-European identity.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things I sort of disagree with Mosley, but I don't think when Mosley writ that down, I think he was thinking more Third Reich than EU.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, he's not thinking about the EU. People, I get that in Twitter.
I think it depends.
Yeah.
I think it depends what Mosley defines as pan-European. How far does it go? Does he include the Greeks and the Italians?
I imagine he was friendly with Mussolini, so I imagine. I think definitely the Spanish.
Yeah, I get this kind of thing when you speak to, but did you know that Mosley was all for a European United Europe? And I say, yeah, but I'm not. It gets tiresome because you talk to people and they go, yeah, but it's the EU. I said, no, it wasn't the EU you had in mind. What it was more, of a nationalist kind of thing, but a united kind of like front almost. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you get these people and they get confused. And it's normally the ones, to be honest, it's not the leftists you normally argue with. It's more like the people who have that that flag, with the EU and it's peeling back and it's got a swastika behind it. The kind of like the fourth right kind of rubbish. It's not the lefties who generally debate you on that. It's generally those kind of people who vote for Brexit, but call the EU fascist. Do you know what I mean? So it's a very difficult argument with them, to be honest. It does get rather tiresome.
Yeah, it's just it becomes that sort of it's the whole sort of boomer Facebook tier of politics as well, which has sort of made itself the enemy. The left calling everything fascist is a pain in the arse, but the right doing the same thing now is, equally ridiculous.
I think it's worse, to be honest, mate, because those people should know better.
They should.
Yep.
This goes to show they don't read either, do they? So.
No, they don't read, mate. That's the problem, and they don't. They just, as fascist. Well, come on, let's go and sit down and let's dissect it for a moment. What about it is fascist? And then you get some incoherent rambling about, equivalating it to Hitler or Mussolini or whatever. And it's just like a straw.
It's like them people that go around saying that Antifa are the real fascists and all that stuff.
Oh, fucking don't! Antifa broke some windows, and so did the brown shirts. There you go. They're both fascists.
Yep. That's the analogy I'm on about. Yeah, that's the kind of people.
I don't think the brown shirts were doing it for Google and Amazon though.
No, probably not. I agree as well. I wasn't. I'm not 100% on board with everything Mosley said. I think that's the people get confused about. Just because you like somebody or their ideals doesn't mean you agree with 100% of what they say. To be honest, I'd like an independent Britain, but with like the European nations working together, but on a nationalist kind of ideal, not this internationalist ideal. That's
unified but separate. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I was saying this last week, but what if the joke's on us and it's not really the 4B2s? They're just doing this to sell us products.
Yeah, consumerism.
Yeah, mate. That's it's not something. It's not the protocols of the elders of Zion, but the protocols of Amazon.
Protocols of Amazon.
The problem is, mate, they have a lot of power, don't they? Though Google, Amazon, eBay, whatever else, they have a lot of power. And
all the shut-ins and the happenings on YouTube, most of them are just to make the place bland, so they don't upset the advertisers, aren't they? I mean, there is an element of politics to it, but I wonder whether it is actually more about product than it is about
That's the greatest thing about our side of the internet, isn't it? You don't get any fucking adverts on your when you put a video on. You haven't got to wait 5 minutes for the video to start.
So you're saying they're very money focused?
Yeah,
surprisingly.
Oh. But yeah. Oh fuck! I forgot what I was going to say now. Back to the pan-Europeanism is again, it's a sort of nice idea, but what it doesn't take into account for is the fact that we all fucking really hate each other.
Yeah,
it's like the English and the French.
If we're brutally honest, we don't even have pan-UKism, do we? Because
we don't.
The North hates the South, and you've got like the people from Cornwall are like their own thing whatsoever, and they don't want anything to do with anybody else. I mean, you can't even get pan-UKism, so how the hell are you expected to get pan-Europeanism?
Well, perhaps we'll regress back to before Alfred the Great, where we'll have regions of Britain, right? Wessex, Mercia, East Anglia. Do you know what I mean? So we'll
back to kingdoms.
Yeah, we'll go back. We'll go full circle.
Excellent. Yeah, no, it's even our own islands. Wales doesn't like us, and we don't like, Ireland, and Ireland fucking hates Scotland, and everyone hates Scotland. That's the only thing that fucking unifies us. Is the only people that like Scotland are the Scottish, but everyone just fucking hates each other on their own thing. So pan-Europeanism and trying to incorporate the French, the Belgians, and the Poles, the Swedes into that, you got no fucking chance.
That's it.
Yep. You'll get everyone still playing against each other's. The difference is this time they'll be white, and that's about it.
To be honest, I think I love Longshanks, Edward I, but I think a lot of the hatred stems back from his campaigning, because he basically subjugated the Welsh, picked a fight with the Scottish, and it's ever since then we've really sort of ramped up the ideals. So
but give him his dues. He signed the Edict of Expulsion.
Yeah, I love the guy. Yeah, he's my favourite monarch, but he definitely liked his fights.
I was quite surprised how badly Mel Gibson, given Mel Gibson's history, I'm surprised I'm quite surprised that in Braveheart he made Edward the Longshanks out to be an absolute bastard. I think he even called him a pagan, and he wasn't a pagan. He was fighting. He was fighting in the Holy Lands.
I know he did. Yeah,
that's the colonial in him, though, isn't it? That is.
Yeah. He don't like the English much.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that movie. What's it called? The one during the war. Was it the War of Independence?
The Patriot.
The Patriot.
That's the one. That's unbelievably anti-British, anti-English. That is really, really bad. That you can see what I agree with Hemi. You can see why isn't he behind somebody like Edward Longshanks for obvious reasons. Yet you look at him and then he's obviously got this kind of really kind of anti kind of like you say the colonialism thing. Doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that sort of wins out in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. But he did do the Passion of the Christ, so he's all fucking stay angry at him. He could fucking throw his shit at the wall, and I'd still go and watch it in the cinema at this point.
Yeah, some of the comments that he's made over the years are absolutely priceless. I think there's one. I'm not going to repeat it, but one he said to I think it was Winona Ryder. I think it was quite funny. I think good one. So you have to Google that one. Pretty funny.
The one he said to his wife was quite good when he was pissed out. Did you hear that?
I've heard. What do you mean the phone conversation where he's screaming?
The phone conversation where he's absolutely spasticated and he's.
It's a long time. You have to refresh me, mate, because I have listened to it, but that was.
Okay, I'm going to try and refresh you in a way that doesn't get you banned.
Okay.
He's moaning that she dresses like a slut, and then he turns around and he says, "Oh, you look like a pig on heat if you go out walking around and you get raped by a pack of
JCBs."
JCBs, that's it. If you get raped by a pack of JCBs, it's your own fault.
I'm gonna have to listen to this conversation again. It's a long time.
Oh, it went fucking viral. I'm actually really surprised that he ever got another shot at Hollywood, especially after what he said to the copper as well.
Yeah, I've heard that track.
Oh, that was the one about the 4x2s.
Yeah.
It was about the 4x2s. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't hold back, did he? Not at all.
The irony is, as well, is one of the things that sort of woke me to the 4x2 question was Stefan Molyneux's video about was Mel Gibson right in what he said? And essentially, Stefan Molyneux, because he said that, they're responsible for all the wars and greedy and this, that, and the other. And then Stefan Molyneux, he pisses me off so much because he flirts with, naming them. And then he just fucking retreats back into his comfy little, right-wing centrist corner of whatever. But yeah, it was actually that. And he just lists through all of these things that Mel Gibson said. And then he sort of, cross-referenced him with what reality is. And Mel Gibson wasn't wrong.
Yeah, I like some of the stuff he comes out with. I saw an interview he did with when he made his comeback of sorts. And he says to the guy, he says... about all the comments you made, the interviewer does, and he goes, "Have you got a dog in this fight?"
Oh yeah, he's Jewish, isn't he?
Yes.
Oh fuck, he's a 4x2, the interviewer.
Yes.
And he turns around and
have you got a dog in this fight? Yeah, that was good. That was good. And you see, as much as I don't think he gives a shit, mate. To be honest, I think he enjoys making films with his mates because a lot of them are.
I think if he never worked again, he'd have plenty of.
Yeah, I think he enjoys doing it. I think he enjoys making movies. I think that's what he does. It's not for the money.
James Smith wants to know: do the Christ cucks do more harm than good for the movement? Now, I'd say that the fedora tipping atheists do more harm than good for the movement because I believe one of the first pillars they knocked out to start atomising us was the church, to stop us gathering at church. And then they moved on to the pub to atomise us even further. What do you think to that, Jackson?
We're off more than any fucking sort of thing of the right.
Is this another one of your regular listeners?
Constant headbutting. But the thing is conservatively, like societally conservatively, the Catholics are fucking more conservative than the fucking pagans. We're against the same fucking things. It's as simple as that. All it comes from is some twat watching fucking Vikings and thinking, oh, those boys were hard. Not realising that we went back over to France, kicked the fuck out of not fucking France, wherever the cunts are from.
Sweet.
But we went back over there after they invaded us, kicked the shit out of them. So if they're all for fucking martial strength, where were their gods then? I fucking hate pagans.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, all Vark are theists, isn't he? Or that larpy.
It is. It's fucking atheism. People don't want to call themselves atheists.
Yeah.
I don't believe there is any fucking pagan or whatever they call themselves, fucking Odinists or whatever. I don't believe there is anyone that actually believes a word in their fucking saga, let alone live by it.
Well,
you get these
apparently...
people talking about fucking posting pictures of Thor with their hammer, and they look like fucking 10 stone wringing wet if they're lucky. And the thing is, as well, if you look through history, who has done more to combat the common enemy that we've got? Has it been the church that was persecuted them the minute it was founded? Or was it some fucking... Yeah, or was it some tree-hugging religion that didn't even hear of them?
Have we got the stream still up?
Yeah, it's... I'm not... the video's slowing down a bit.
Yeah, because it's I don't know. I've got this. Someone's in the chat said, "Is the stream over? Lost the stream." The Norse heathen said, it's back now. Was it okay?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, because we've gone down from 30 chat to 16.
I think it's probably because I started ranting about pagans. That tends to happen. This is what happens. They get salty. Like I never had a problem with them until I sort of got on. Got onto YouTube, and I think I made one offhanded comment, and now all I hear is fucking Christ, Kirk, this, that, and the other, or you worship a Jew, etc., etc. That's all I fucking get from them. I cannot fucking stand the cunts now. So no, I've got no fellowship with them. When people post that fucking meme of them looking at like the onslaught of the degenerates and going together, no, not fucking together, not at all. I genuinely want fuck all to do with them. But that's personally me. I know a lot more people are sort of fucking a bit more, relaxed with them. But
speaking of like you talking about the Crusades and stuff, most of the books I've tried to find a decent book which isn't completely cut by modern historians because it's basically pro Islam, most of it. So I'm trying to find a book that actually is impartial or more pro Christian because I don't. If I'm going to read a book, I want to sit through and enjoy it, especially if it's 300-400 pages long. I don't want to sit through 300-400 pages of anti-Christian kind of rhetoric. So, if anyone could point me in the right direction with that, I would much appreciate it.
Apparently, the paganism that's being worshipped now is French paganism.
Worshipping the French, brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
The height of masculinity, the French.
Worshipping the garlic eaters.
No, with regards to the Crusade book, I couldn't tell you because everyone I've read has been exactly like that. I think the best bet is probably wait till Tom Holland comes out with one because he tends to be quite pro-Christian.
Didn't he get a lot of flack from one of his books? I read. Is it the Millennium one? Because he criticised Islam in it, I think, in some shape, manner, or form. And he got a lot of death threats. I did read that somewhere.
I think it was... Yeah, it might have been that one or Shadow of the Sword, maybe. It was
that's the one. That's
it, yeah. And yeah, he was pretty, well, he's basically just honest about Islam and he did get a lot of shit for it. But I'd say in terms of waiting for a book from him on the Crusade...
I'm not reading that one out. I'll copy and paste that one. I'll put it in Discord for you, Jackson. It's not bad, but it's just the sort of thing I wouldn't read out on YouTube.
Chat getting Larry.
Yeah, it's pretty spicy chat tonight.
Yeah, good.
That is quite spicy.
Yeah, that is pretty spicy, isn't it? What do you think? So you're a Catholic then?
I am, yeah.
So what do you think to the current state of obviously your Pope and the current state of the Catholic Church with all the paedophiles and things like that?
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me this.
Just your opinion on it. I'm not asking you to defend.
Oh,
them.
right.
Yeah,
I'm
not saying the Catholic Church is like this. It's all your fault. What I'm saying is just like, I mean, what do you think to the current state? I mean, do you think it's fucked or?
It's not fucked. If I think it was Pope Leo who had the vision of the one of the Pope Leos. I can't remember which number. I'm sure the Catholic group chat is going mad at me for not knowing that one, but he said about the vision of the devil trying to prevail against the church, and that's essentially what's happening now. And it's never going to win. And at the moment, what we've got is we've got a sort of stacked hierarchy full of Jesuits. And if you don't know what the Jesuits are, they're basically they're infiltrators. They are the bin lids, if you like. They're very sort of liberal, borderline heretical in a lot of cases. Not all, but enough of them. The Pope's one. A lot of the cardinals are. And yeah, the Vatican leadership at the moment is pretty terrible. I'll fully admit that. The thing with the whole Amazon, I don't know if you followed it at all. They was putting these pagan idols of some Amazon fertility goddess up in the Vatican and saying it was Mary and things like that, and it absolutely fucking wasn't, and they knew it wasn't, and people were getting quite pissed about that. So yeah, there's a lot going on in the church of them.
So why did was it Ratzinger with the previous pope? So why did he go? Because he's like the first one that's ever or one of the few that's ever left. Did he go because of the state of it? Then did he?
No, tinfoil hat time, boys.
Let's put him on. I'll do a paranormal podcast on Thursdays. So I usually put it on a Thursday.
The official reason for Pope Benedict stepping down was ill health. And that was must be coming up to 10 years ago. I mean, he weren't young, but he's still active. He's still out and about. So no way was it.
Yeah.
Everyone assumed he'd be dead in 6 months. You know, they assumed he had a diagnosis of cancer. And then all of a sudden, Benedict, he wasn't the most sort of traditional pope, because I definitely veer on the more traditional side of Catholicism. I'm not a massive fan of the New Order Catholicism at all. But yeah, all of a sudden, we had John Paul II, who was a terrible pope, very, very liberal and borderline heretical in a lot of what he did. And then we had someone that was a bit more traditional, and then he was pope for what? I don't even think he was pope for 5 years. And then he steps down quite suspiciously. And yeah, then we get back to the Jesuits again. And this is the sort of state of it now. But yeah, in terms of like paedophilia in the church, I've always said it's not a Catholic problem, it's a gay problem. Because what you used to have is, back in the day, before it was more sort of accepted in society, when, you know, men were expected to go out, father children, get married, which they're not anymore. But when they would be asked sort of questions by their family, so why haven't you got a wife yet? Why haven't you got a wife yet? Rather than admitting that, you know, they were batting for the opposition, they would go and be a priest. And I think that's what's actually happened. I think that's the main thing, because if you look at it, the overwhelming abuse is perpetrated on boys. So,
well, the other thing is that paedophiles will always look for positions that allow you one-to-one access to a child and a bit of power as well, and the church provides both of those things, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing I know is people have, you know, linked it. So, I mean, the cover-ups have been the worst thing for it. I pray that whatever pope that we get next, I haven't got much hope of it looking at the way that the College of Cardinals is sort of set. But I would be hoping that whatever pope we had next dragged each and every one of these fuckers out in disinfecting light of day, and then done what Jesus said to do, which is tie a millstone around their neck and chuck in the ocean. Although that's not going to happen, so turn them over to the authorities would be the next best thing. Yeah. Excommunicate them, turn them over to the authorities. That is the only way that there's ever going to be trust built. I mean, I can get the idea of trying to cover it because, you know, it looks terrible, and it is terrible. Not only that, then it's because I did hear that apparently the bin lids were blackmailing, weren't they? They basically get the church to do stuff, and they go, or otherwise there's going to be another expose in like the Washington Post or whatever. See, I haven't actually heard that.
I can't remember where I heard that, but I've heard that before.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, yeah, for all the talk of the paganisms saying that all of that shit, the main enemies of them through history, has been the Catholic Church,
Well,
and it will always be.
It's Christianity, because there's nothing they hate more than Christianity, is there? Because
exactly,
it's Christianity is their mortal enemy. That's why they're working so hard to destroy the church, isn't it?
If you look at the Gospels as well, just after the crucifixion, one of the things that sort of jumped out to me there is when it says the apostles are hiding, say they're hiding because they were, they were hiding to get away from, them.
I think you've upset a certain person in the chat.
Oh, who's
was it Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Oh well, I don't give a fuck.
He had a few questions. I've been listening to you, and I've been looking through the chat, which is making quite interesting reading tonight, which is good.
Evening, gentlemen. How are
Evening.
we?
Not too bad, mate. You're right.
Are you aware of Jackson's work?
Oh, Jackson, yeah, I saw your name in the live stream, mate. I caught your one of your live chats with Morgoth. Found it very enlightening.
Oh yeah, I've had a couple with him. He's quality.
Yeah, he has a sound bloke. It's a bit annoying because as Gray knows on here, I had a very brief email exchange with him about a very long time ago, where the long and short of it is that you're a nice lad, but your politics are bent. Which it's like, no, not Daddy Morgoth. Oh fuck! What am I going to do without the fucking approval of my internet Geordie warehouse dad? I mean, fuck. I mean, I might as well just end it now. It's horrible.
Capston's our resident racist libertarian, Jackson.
Hello.
Oh fucking! Oh, okay. I can see why. You said your politics.
Yeah. Anyway, brushing past that, can someone give us a quick rundown what I've missed?
Well, at the moment, we're sort of talking about the church, and there's been a bit of a spiciness in the chat because James Smith in the chat I gather is a pagan, and he's laying into Jackson because Jackson's a Catholic. So he's asking Jackson for some responses, and we're not ignoring the guy, but we're talking and trying to.
I'm not even looking at the chat. I don't know what he's.
If he was asking some decent questions, I'd bring them up.
Yeah, there's been a few questions which.
I'll give the pagans a little. If you do want to have a genuine conversation with Catholic far right, try not to insult our God the first time that you engage with us. It's generally, I don't know if it's in their religion to have like a little bit of, politeness, not to act like a bunch of white N-words.
Looks like
yeah. Well, I think it's just come under it. Oi, you worshipper of that kike on a pike, answer my interesting question right now, or dislike your live stream.
9 out of 10 interactions. 9 out of fucking 10 interactions. And they wonder why I hate them. They wonder why every video, it's almost like an Easter. Every video, I could probably be doing a review of my favourite carpet samples, and I will still find a way to poke a jab at them because they are fucking ridiculous.
Well, this is the point. I have the pleasure of having met quite a few pagans throughout my life, both of the normal variety and. Of a certain nationalist persuasion,
the Marvel variety,
the Marvel variety, and of a certain political persuasion as well. And for the most part, I've spoken with a few of them who are, very well educated men and women. And I must admit, I have asked the question, why does it attract so many edgy 14-year-olds, and why are they all retarded? And the response seems to be, yeah, I don't know, scratch head. Well, it possibly could be, and then they just talk about literally anything else.
I get the slag argument off them. I get, oh yeah, but I'm pagans. I don't like the other pagans. I don't get on with the other pagans. It's like, well, you don't even fucking like each other. What are you expecting me to get on with you for?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I do find it quite interesting, the sort of the dynamics. I mean, I'm very much of the opinion of that. Look, we've got bigger problems. Could we just sort of cut it out? But I don't think anyone really does themselves any favors in these circles anyway. I mean, for fuck's sake, I'm sure everyone saw that recent sort of live stream with Morgoth, Keith Woods, and what's his name, Chris Dangerfield. You know, and you think we haven't even got to 1,000 people, and there's already infighting on a live chat. You know,
it happens a lot, and I might be biased, but I'm going to put the blame 100 them. You know.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things. I'm not biased at all, but it's all their fault. Like, I completely understand. I mean, I've done that in quite a few occasions. Isn't that right, Gray?
Yeah.
You know, everyone's just got angry at me for no reason whatsoever, and it's all their fault, isn't it?
You see, I didn't hear. I've been meaning to listen to the stream you were on about. I've had a week or so, and I just haven't got around to listening to it. But I've heard people talk about it, and apparently Morgoth laid into him quite heavily. Is the consensus I've got? I can't comment because I haven't heard it.
To be fair, it was quite a good stream. I did like it, and I think that those kind of conversations should happen more, because I think that, you know, fuck being challenged by the left. You know, we know they're bent and why they're doing what they're doing, but especially for people who think vaguely like us, I do think that it is interesting to have a little bit of back and forth. However, at the same time, you know, I do respect those who do sort of stick to principle a little bit. And I think it was 5 minutes into the conversation where Morgoth said something along the lines of, right, you hang around in these circles. Yeah. You believe that Europe should be for Europeans. Yes. Okay. So why are you going to another country to shag some fucking Cambodian tart and have a load of half-caste kids? And, you know, which I didn't think was an unreasonable question.
Well, I'm completely out the loop. What the fuck happened? What stream was this?
Oh, basically, it was a live stream with Keith Woods and Morgoth. Now, I quite like Keith Woods, even though he's an Irish autist who believes in a bit of Nazbol. But, you know, much like myself, I'm sure we'll all grow out of it eventually. But at the same time, what seemed to happen is that they were having a comfy little live stream on a Sunday. Chris Dangerfield was in the chat, and Morgoth invited him on, and it turned into about an hour of, well, I'm not going to say shit flinging, but we'll call it heated discussion, I think is an apt term. And after a bit of heated discussion, there's sort of... I find it quite difficult to describe because there were more subjects that were talked about, but essentially... Chris did his usual shtick of, like, you know, drugs aren't as bad as you say they are, and we should probably legalize them because then we could control them and such like. And Morgoth going, how is crack cocaine anything like whiskey? And etc. And like, it was. You have to admit, it depends which way you want to look at it, who won. But there was an absolute goldmine of little gem quotes. You know, things like, you know, how does my dad sipping whiskey of an evening equate to jacking up with a load of? We're sharing a teaspoon with a load of junkies in a shed. Like, I have to admit, I do see Chris's point a little bit, but at the same time, I mean, there was some absolute fucking gold came out of that. Just to keep
James Smith happy, I think he's actually asked an interesting question here. He said, well, it's a reply, but he said, yes, the Christians erased European culture. I don't think the Christians erased European culture. I think it was absorbed into Christianity, because a lot of churches have things like green men and wood roses on them, don't they? Anybody who wants to pick it up.
Yeah, but at the same time, if I may, I would like to put something forward here. Jackson, as I sort of know your underpinnings, just correct me if I'm wrong, is it theocratic Catholicism or theocratic fascism or something?
Theocratic fascism.
All right, okay, wonderful. Just thought I'd clear that up before I make the point. Obviously, reforms of Constantine in 264, which made Christianity the foundation or the new religion of the Roman Empire, specifically the Roman Western Empire at that stage.
Yeah.
And obviously the Romans had been in Britain since about the, 440 AD? 40, 50 AD, something like that. So if one might be able to argue that the Druids of Britain were, to my reading anyway, killed, obviously, in great number during the Roman occupation. I haven't read anything or have been sent anything that would actually lay that blame on Christendom. I thought it was Roman pagans, well, for the most part, murdering British pagans.
When the that was my knowledge. I know the Romans were pagan when they first invaded. They were definitely pagan when they first invaded. There was, I think, in Colchester, a temple to Apollo that they uncovered. So the Romans were definitely thoroughly pagan for quite a while of their occupation of Britain. They became Christian for the majority of it, hence why Roman Catholicism.
Mm.
But this is the thing, is it didn't erase European identity. You are talking of quality here of people that were worshipping trees, reading entrails, and sacrificing children. Now, if a little bit of genocide gets rid of people fucking sacrificing children, I have got a problem with that. I don't care if that culture is erased. Same with the conquistadors and the Aztecs. They pretty much went with the intention of converting them and decided, fuck this, these people are cutting the hearts out of children. They can go fuck themselves. And this is the other thing as well, is Catholicism was a unifying idea as well. This is what people don't understand, is at the end of the day, earthly matters come second. If you believe in a deity, if you truly believe in an afterlife, if you truly believe in your morality leading you to that afterlife, then the world becomes a secondary concern. Obviously, you know, you live in it, you've got to live in it, and you've got to build a future for your children. But the goal is to get to whatever good afterlife you get into. It's a unification of ideas. You know, it's not just looking at skin colour and saying, oh, yeah, they're all white, and we're all fucking unified that way. It's unifying an idea as well. And that's why the arguments on the right are good as well, because we are, at the moment, as you can see, pretty fractured. You know, there's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of different sort of opposing views on this side of the far right that we find ourselves on. And yeah, it's a sort of battle to see which one wins out in the end. And you can say that with Catholicism as well. It toppled paganism. It was stronger. And it was always going to be stronger because, obviously, again, I'm biased. It was the church founded by Christ. It was the church of God.
Ooh, because here's where we disagree. I mean, why do I think that Christianity is stronger? Partly because it had the might of the Roman Empire behind it, which, with respect, I whether or not it was the church founded by Christ and the one true religion, that's aside. You know, maybe we could argue that if God wanted it this way, that he made his religion and gave it to one of the strongest forces on the planet at that time. I suppose you could argue that, but at the same time, I mean, as a unifying force, again, I thought that was be largely attributed to the Roman Empire. That was the fairly large unifying force. Obviously, a common high language of Latin and such like.
I would disagree that. I mean, I'm not, you know, by any means an expert on Roman society. For something to be able to replace by law as well, by sort of full force of law, the religion that they had been, you know, operating under. And this is the other thing with the pagans as well, is I don't see anyone worshipping Zeus or Apollo or any of the Roman pantheons. It's always the cool Viking ones or the Druid ones.
That's because they're more local. Films.
Yeah, exactly. There hasn't been that many. I don't remember seeing a comment.
Clash of the Titans about Venus. The Clash of the Titans was probably the last decent one.
Was it? I thought it was shit. Yeah.
No, I mean the original one with the Harryhausen effect.
Oh yeah, that fucking cheese fest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was really back then. But yeah, no, for something to sort of take over that much, and remember how long the Romans and you know who's were persecuting the Christians under that, and the Romans were persecuting Christians partially to prevent rebellions from the bin lids.
James Smith's arguments are so bad. How long have you had to put up with him for?
I don't know. This is the first time, but
Oh, is
this,
it? Oh, right. What do
I
4x2s
can.
do? They infiltrate governments and nations, Roman Empire, and force their beliefs on a population, Christianity. Christianity is not 4x2-ish. They fucking hate it. When will people get literally boiling in shit and cum? Do people not get that part of it?
Yeah, they really don't like us. They are essentially throughout history. I mean, we've had like armed clashes more with the Muslims, but in terms of it,
Well, see, I have a theory. I have a theory about the Muslims. I do believe that Islam and Judaism are two cheeks of the same ass, and I think they use the Muslims as their foot soldiers.
Oh, I 100% agree. Yeah, I've said this for a while. They're not a particularly martial people. That's all. They prefer to get their golems to do it for them. But yeah, in no fucking way is the religion similar. In what we believe, yeah, we have an origin. That's the one thing they can point at is the Abrahamic origin.
Well, they hate Christ. They hate Christ, don't they? And Christianity has the word Christ in it, so you can't. It doesn't. The argument doesn't stack up, does it?
I will say I will give them an inch here, and I will say a lot of what I think they might have got it from because they're thick as shit and don't know how to actually, go back past 4chan threads. But I think a lot of what they might have actually got the sort of idea that we're, us and them are two sides of the same coin is from the fucking muck Christians in America.
The Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah, the Judeo-Christian values.
I mean, even that word is like parasited on like they do to any other.
It's a paradox. It's a paradox. There was a good, I think it was a Stone Toss comic where it was someone put Judeo,
yes,
and it's the hammer hitting the nail, and the nail says Christian. That's essentially the difference. But yeah, no, it's. I think they need an enemy because I think it makes them feel big.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And rather than do the sensible thing, I think they want the corner of the right to themselves, and they're welcome to it. I don't interact with them. I've got no time for them whatsoever. But
yes, it's the first time I've come across a militant pagan.
Oh, it's not my first rodeo. At all.
Right. So you have to deal with militant pagans quite regularly, then, do you?
Yeah, whenever I make a sort of little off the cuff, and I've Christ cock and all the shit that they say. So at this point, it's just boring. We've done more to further the West than they ever have.
I'll do one more to humour James Smith. He says he's attributing this quote to you. Christianity is true, but I hate most other Christians, including the ones who run my own church.
Don't recall saying that.
He's put it in speech marks and said that you said that.
To be fair, he also tagged you in it, Gray. So
he's tagging me in it, so I'll repeat it.
All right.
There's a problem with the hierarchy in the church.
Yeah.
Where's your fucking hierarchy, pagan? Oh, you haven't got one.
Where's you? I mean, how do they even gather? Because I mean, how do they even?
They put a stick in the ground and they follow what way the shadow goes.
Now, come on now. Let's rein that back in. There are camps and festivals and the various types of people who gather to.
Oh yeah, Burning Man. Burning Man is going to save the.
I was thinking more like Beltane and Samhain and such like, and the various celebrations that go on throughout the country, and the same for perhaps the winter solstice as well. I don't think you can go that hard. It is one of, I believe, either the or one of the fastest growing religions in Britain right now.
Isn't Jedi as
it's
well?
Because everything else is on a decline. That means fuck all.
Yeah, but then again, at the same, I agree. But you have to keep in mind is that's the same thing as saying vinyl sales have gone up by 0.5% this year. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, I'll still give it to them. They are expanding their number, albeit fairly slowly. But again, with the problem with it is well, I said the problem and solution, but is that it's not centralized. I mean, I've been to.
It's funny how the two fastest growing religions, Jedi Jediism and paganism are both owned by Disney.
Very good.
That's right. I figured it out because Walt Disney was an anti-Semite. So I think we've cracked it, boys.
This
is it. This is their religion. They're following the words of Walt Disney.
Maybe James Smith is pro-Semite. That's why he's picked the Disney religion.
Fucking hell, Gray, you are on a fucking pagan patrol tonight, son. Have you been inspired by your guest?
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. You usually don't get this religious, mate.
I don't know. La pagans do annoy me. I'm not.
He'll be coming to Latin Mass with me next week. He will.
Yeah, I was about to say, am I just going to get a phone call
that far.
on like 12:30 on a Sunday, going, mate, you should have been here. It was great. It was me. It was Jackson. We had a laugh. We sang some hymns. Man, you've got to come down. You know, it's going to be great.
Why are you doing your Hugh voice for it?
I was going to say you were doing your what's the name voice on the offensive voice there.
Yeah, I don't know. It was I don't every time I just imagine a nationalist phone call now.
Hi guys,
how are you? Church. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Got the bird. She's in Cambodia. Fucking hell, what's all this going on the internet? Anyway, guys, here's some drum and bass. Bye. You know.
Oh, God's own. Here you go. I'm not the only one railing against the pagans. God's own says the pagan argument against Christianity is the same as liberals saying we're all Africans, really.
Yeah.
Oh, they get so fucking salty as well.
But like this is the thing. Like this is what I with respect, I can only encourage pagans to do. Is that if you don't like it, the biggest fucking thing you can do is find other like-minded pagans, right? And then pull birds, have 12 fucking kids, almost a bit like what Catholicism has taught its followers for quite some time. And then if you keep doing that, you'll take over the planet. You know?
But there's another religion which is already cottoned on to that one.
And funnily enough, that religion. What can I say?
The sword and the womb, boys.
So exactly, like this is the problem. It's like, you know, you never turn down a good idea, even if it came from a load of goat fuckers in the Middle East. You know, you never turn down a good idea. Like, you know, it's just silly. You know, and again, I think dissident thoughts in the chat. If I'm just taking a peek. I went to a pagan festival and it was quite fun. No point arguing amongst ourselves between religions. Christian and pagans are fine by me as long as nationalists. Yeah, but I did notice you capitalise Christians and put a little p for pagans. So maybe that's something subliminal. But
damning with faint praise.
Yeah, it's like spelling someone's name with a lowercase letter. You know, it's just, it's a little bit of a diss, isn't it?
Apparently,
whether you like it or
according
not.
to James Smith, Jesus fucked goats. I mean, where does it say that in the Bible exactly, James Smith?
Oh, that's getting a bit below the belt.
Literally, this is the thing. If you go by Norse paganism, Odin sucked the cocks of dead men to get their semen. He hanged himself and he cut his eye out. So, and that is written in whatever, you know, because they couldn't fucking read or write. They're thick as shit. Whatever actual literature there is. And I'm sure you're going to have some quote-unquote educated pagan tell me, oh, no, that's not what it says. I do not give a fuck, to be honest with you. I've got no interest in learning.
If you're going to say Jesus blows goats, we're going to say that.
Well, no, the thing is that is actually in their sagas about Odin fucking sucking the cocks of dead men. There's a big thing about hanged man's semen. You can Google it. I'm not even making it up. So yeah, I wouldn't fucking throw punches, mate.
He set up another straw man to knock down. It's Catholicism restricts white reproduction. In fact, it encourages race mixing. Yeah, but if you go by the Bible, which they should be doing, it's there are a hell of a lot of passages about people should be staying where they put and race. You shouldn't be race mixing and all sorts in their direction.
Yeah, there is. I mean, this is the thing as well, is when I've asked a pagan to sort of... And the answer I always get is there's no written... It's all passed by word of mouth, you know, like the ancestors used to. Okay, so is Chinese whispers, but There's no written tradition. There's nothing you can really 100% go back on. And I don't recall there ever being anywhere where they can point to a passage of whatever Marvel comic it is and say, right, this is where it says, oh, we have to be all pro-white and, you know, defend our borders and this, that, and the other. They're ascribing their own meaning to something that's a fucking...
Oh, no.
And
oh, no. Oh,
it's an absolute story.
You've been BTFO, Jackson. Treat a foreigner in your land as a guest.
Yeah. Oh, someone doesn't watch my last video because I actually brought that passage up and I said, what does a guest do? When a guest comes to my house, I don't expect him to shit on my carpet, rape my woman and stay forever. I expect a guest to behave like a guest and then fuck off home at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Very true.
Mm.
Oh, dear.
So anyway, can we move on? Because
I was about to say, like, you know, that's probably a good little tangent there. So, Gray, apart from this little debate with, well, oh, by the way, congratulations on 100 subs, mate. Well done.
Oh, nice. I'm up to 100 now. Nice one.
You are indeed.
Lovely.
you're welcome.
Yeah, no, you've done well for me, Jackson. I think views are up about. We had 30 views. I think was our top views. So yeah. Done really well. Thanks, Jackson, mate.
All right, so we can move on from there. What else have I missed in the stream?
We started talking about Corbyn a bit, didn't we?
Oh, what's the fucker done now?
You seen the chief?
Oh fuck! What now?
The chief rabbi has come out against him. I didn't actually get to this, but Archbishop Justin Welby has come out against him, hasn't he? Has anyone ever looked at the early life section of Justin Welby's Wikipedia?
Do I want to?
Probably not.
I shall quote from the early life of Wikipedia. Justin Portal Welby was born in London, England on 6th of January 1956, almost 9 months after the marriage of his mother Jane, blah, blah, and Gavin Bramwell James Welby. Jane had been personal secretary to Winston Churchill. Gavin Welby, born Bernard Gavin Weiler in Ruislip, West London, was the son of Bernard Weiler, a German Jewish immigrant and importer of luxury items, who changed the name to Welby shortly after the First World War broke out.
What a surprise!
Yes.
I'm not a lover of Anglicans. Obviously, not as much as the fucking other ones, but yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Go on then. No, go on. I can't be speaking to YouTube's one and only Catholic theocratic fascist and not have his opinions on Anglicans. Come on, son. What are you going to say? Action. Come on, son. What? Go on then. If we've done the religion chat? What's your take on Anglicanism then?
Oh, it's a heretic meme church. Women priests.
Oh dear.
That's a soundbite for the ages, that isn't it?
I'm so glad I asked that question. Please continue.
Don't hold back, mate. Whatever you do.
Oh no, I'm well known for my subtlety and restraint, but yeah, it's a fucking joke of a church. I mean, yeah, Catholicism has had problems, but we're still a fair way away from fucking, a fucking ball dyke in a frock marrying two men wearing a rainbow stole over their shoulders. We are quite a fair way away from that. The whole foundation of it was, well, Martin Luther had the ump because he weren't allowed to do certain things, and then Henry VIII decided to fucking make the Anglican Church.
Martin Luther was a good lad, though, wasn't
He
he?
wrote a pretty based book, but I can get you up some of the quotes from the saints. Put it this way, okay? Some of the quotes from the early church doctors and the early saints, I cannot actually repeat because they are that fucking
spicy.
Yeah, they are very, very spicy. And I'd like to point this one out to the pagans as well, to say these are our top theologians, and this is pretty much a unanimous opinion. If you're going like not the more sort of modern ones who are, obviously playing a fucking political game, they either don't mention it or they, yeah.
Here's one out left field while we're talking about Catholicism. What do you think to...
Hang on, I'll be 1 sec. Just got to answer this phone call, yeah?
Okay, no, mate. What
I'm on the mobile.
Hello, I'm on the phone.
I'm in the library.
On the phone.
What do you think to Mother Teresa becoming a saint then?
Yeah, pretty much, innit?
Yeah.
These
Like,
past-
if any, I know that I'm gonna say his name, and everyone is gonna like throw fucking poo at me because no one likes him. But I know Christopher Hitchens did a bit of a little documentary about Mother Teresa, about she basically managed a dying room in in a very poor part of the world for a bit.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against her, but in terms of actual sainthood, there's a lot of modern times. There's been a lot of politicking over who the actual saints, like canonizations, and so I think the most egregious ones was Pope Paul VI, who founded the Vatican II Council, which is essentially why we're in the mess that we're in, and he was made a saint because that council was considered to constitute a miracle. So him, John Paul II, Mother Teresa. But we did get John Henry Newman, which is good. So we did get one decent saint, but thankfully they're not. They don't come under papal infallibility. So it sort of swings and roundabouts as whether they have to be recognised as saints. It's a bit of a grey area.
Well, don't they have to check the body and make sure it's uncorrupted, don't they, to be a proper saint?
I don't think so. I'm not. I don't. Well, no, because Joan of Arc got turned to ash, and she's.
Oh yeah, she's fairly corrupted.
Her body was a fucking fine powder. So yeah. Yeah, no. There's been loads of saints that have been there. Some of the saints have died absolutely horrifically. So unless that was a more sort of modern interpretation, I mean, I'm sure someone will correct me later, but I don't think so.
What else are we talking about? I did have a Grub story, since it's Land of Grub and Glory. Waitrose are to sell only UK
All right,
lamb.
fellas.
Hey, on mate. Waitrose are going to sell only UK lamb from now on.
UK lamb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds pretty based. Yeah, because Waitrose are pretty good because they don't have employees, do they? They have partner. You're a partner, aren't you? You're not an employee.
Is it like shares in the company? Is it?
Yeah, everyone has a share or something.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Where I used to work, there was this is completely fucking unrelated, but there was a trolley boy with learning disability, and when it's actually. Oh fuck off! This is actually a cheerful story. It's been I'm trying to add a bit of light-heartedness into it.
Yeah, lighten the mood.
Yeah, but he had worked there for I think he'd worked there for about 20 years. Because to be fair, there weren't a lot else he could do. But Waitrose looked after their employees, and when that branch closed, and they offered him, they said, "Well, we can relocate you to New Market, or we can make you redundant, and you'll get a nice little payoff." So he said, "Well, how much will redundancy be?" And anyway, I think he got something like 50 odd grand in a lump sum as a fucking redundancy fund. So yeah, they don't, in terms of like employers wise, they actually look after you quite well. But yeah, that's the fucking story.
Yeah, to be fair though, I have been in Waitrose a few times, and yeah, it is a better. You don't see too much riffraff in the aisles of like you do in other supermarkets.
Well, they're not.
So I do hate fucking supermarkets.
But that's the problem is if you keep going to Waitrose, as I found out because one opened up near me as of recent, and I got that you can get those little discount cards.
Yeah.
Put in your key ring.
You get a free coffee at the end of your shop.
Like a free coffee or something. Yeah. So I occasionally get a bit of money off there when all of that comes through. But I'm not being funny. I just miss going to Cost Cutter and doing some chav spotting. There's nothing quite like it going in and just seeing who's going to be in Young Offenders in the next 6 months.
Speaking of,
so you don't like perusing the Isles of Iceland or farm
Southern fairies. I've never even heard of a Cost Cutter or a Waitrose.
Oh Jesus, the North.
So that Mitchell and Webb sketch where they said that they can solve poverty just by pumping gas into Lidl's.
I've actually got a story about Lidl's. I was we were out the other week and we needed to get a couple of bits on the way home, so we went into the wrong Lidl's and it looked like Mad Max's local supermarket. It was fucking terrible. It was full of diversity. The place was an utter shithole. I don't know the last time someone even looked over the place.
Aldi and Lidl are the best.
Because
alarmingly, like in this little, there's Lidl's in some of the Welsh valleys, and like they're not full of diversity. They're fine. It's like what they sort of advertise it to be.
Yeah, well, this was the point. I went to the one in the wrong end of town, the one that's like pretty much staffed and like and patronised by diversity, and it was just an utter shithole. There was boxes all over the place.
It looks like someone's
all
raided
over the floor. Yeah.
Oh man!
Holy
I
shit!
said my absolute favourite little a little thing to do is occasionally when I take a last minute job. Occasionally I'll have to make like take an 18-tonner to some little bargain booze placement in some shit district of Nowheresville, right? And I had to take one at one point to this little boozer in order to give it some more booze to sell. And this fucking huge fucking white bloke comes out out the shop, and just some bloke you can imagine. You do strongman and probably got an SIA license. You know, we'll look at him, and he walks out and he says, "I'll stand with you by the deliveries." And I said to him, "Oh, I expecting trouble." And it's like, "Mate, you've got 10 grand's worth of my booze in this lorry, and if you think I'm gonna let Pikeys and Packers fight it out over Jack fucking Daniels, you've got another thing coming."
Did you unload it rather quickly, Captain?
Oh yeah, literally, he didn't even stand by the bottom of the lorry. He literally was fucking riding the tail lift up and down as I'm getting the pallet off, standing there, like just fucking looking at people, you know, and just sort of beckoning them to try and take his booth. It was, oh my god, that was a quick delivery, that one, but yeah. He's literally just looking down the street going, if there's more than 4 of them, just put it back in the lorry.
And drive off.
Yeah, and drive off, because there's no point. But then again, it was an elderly gentleman who once told me, by the way, I'm a lorry driver, Jackson, just in case that wasn't blindingly obvious. And there was a gentleman who did tell me, he was a Scottish bloke. He worked as a drayman up in the north of Scotland, who claims that him and his driver's mate, when he was up there, it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, and they were stocking this pub in a very, very dodgy area, of which some guy pulled up in a Merc, got out, and he was down in the cellar. His driver's mate goes, "There's a guy here." He's like, "What do you mean there's a guy here? Just, you know, tell him to fuck off." "Yeah, but he wants a keg." "Yeah, but I'm not going to give him a keg." "But he's got a sword." "What do you mean he's got a fucking sword?" And then he just walks up the fucking stairs, and there's a bloke with a fucking saber resting over his shoulder going, "Morning." And yeah, he's just stood there. He's going, what do you want?" "Put that keg in that boot." "Okay." And so they just fucking take this 36-gallon keg and chuck it in the back of like this fucking Merc. The suspension goes down about 6 inches, right on the tyre. He just gets in, says thanks, gets in his car and fucks off.
Jeez,
Yeah, just it's grim up north, man. Like the shit I've heard people putting up with on deliveries has been absolutely crazy. You know.
I don't know. I don't know how true it is or not.
Yeah, I mean, but then again,
Drivers.
I mean, like this is the thing. Like, you know, some of them you know are bollocks, but there's other times where I've had people show me pictures of shit, which has been absolutely incredible. You know, guys on the backs of tail lifts that, you know, someone's like, you know, they have to like stop the delivery because people keep chucking bricks at them. You know, shit.
So,
like
some
that.
of the Uber Eats drivers, apparently, and I haven't actually seen it myself, but apparently some of the Uber Eats drivers have actually taken to wearing body armor now because it's getting pretty fucking.
Oh yeah,
What?
yeah. Literally, I know there are some firms who refuse to deliver to certain parts of the country. They've got a list of postcodes they just refuse to deliver. And at one point, I took this list of postcodes right for a Birmingham multi-drop firm and had a look through them. And it was funny that because I got a demographics map up. You know, to satiate my curiosity. And it just seems that for no reason whatsoever that they've refused to deliver to almost every postcode that's majority Muslim. I mean,
Racist
That's a
bastards.
surprise. That's just
Yeah,
What a
that's no
coincidence!
surprise.
Unbelievable.
That's no surprise.
Yeah.
That's just institutional
Unbelievable.
racism.
yeah,
I know.
it was almost like they'd almost listed it in order of percentage Muslim as well. I'm
hope you
sure
were-
that had nothing to do with it whatsoever.
I
But
hope you reported it, mate. I hope you come down on them really quickly and yeah.
I hope you,
Oh,
I hope you-
I hope they lost
I
their
mean-
license.
I hope
I
you
mean,
let
literally,
HR
I mean
know
that's.
about it.
Oh no, I know
absolutely,
what
that
it
was-
must be. It must be because so many of them own takeaways. They don't want the competition. That must be it.
Yeah.
Oh, forcing the drivers to go there.
In Glasgow,
Making-
they used to have the ice cream wars, didn't they? Where people would get their fucking throats slit and heads cut off and shit like that over ice cream pitches, didn't they?
Oh yeah, but then again, wasn't the mob
Fuck.
making a bloody fortune out of it by charging a protection racket for the ice cream pitchers? And then it just got nasty after there
But
was
it wasn't.
shootouts and
It wasn't
shit.
just ice cream they were selling, though, was it?
Yeah, there is that.
Only in fucking Scotland can you get a drive-by shooting over Whitby.
Ice cream.
Fucking ice cream.
I'm not even surprised at this point.
Nah,
What's the name of that place? What's the name of the place in Glasgow? That what's that housing estate? The Gorbals, is it? Is that the one?
That rings a bell.
oh, is that the one with the lowest life expectancy in the country? Or
Yeah.
something
What they had this ingenious idea originally of putting all the gangsters and criminals in one area, and then wonder why it turned to shit. That was basically their grand plan, but then they had to knock some of it down because obviously it was getting out of control. And the police wouldn't go there. The police they said fuck
It's
that.
when you think that's like, well, if you're just going to put like all those gang members in one place, why don't you just surround it with walls and guards?
It would have been a better idea, really.
You know, it just we might have just cordoned off an entire district of Glasgow. You know, we'll call it District 9 or
I've
something.
seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen that film. It's called Doomsday. Have you ever seen that film?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's where,
like
where
years
there's
ago.
the plague, isn't it? That
Yeah,
they put
But
the wall
like the
back
main
up.
character's black.
Yeah.
No, it's,
I
Roman
like, it's
Beach,
like how
right?
the Romans. The Romans went across like civilizing the whole of Europe, and then they got to Scotland and said, "Ah, fuck, let's just build a wall."
There's that. Thing. Is it the eagle? Is it the
That's it.
eagle? Is about the? Is it the Ninth Legion? Is it?
Yeah, that's it's an
There
urban
was two
legend.
films
Maybe,
at the
I
same
don't know.
time. There was the eagle.
Yeah,
and
there was the Eagle.
They got their standard nicked, didn't they? Didn't the pigs
Yeah.
nick their standard or something?
Yeah, it was the Eagle and
Thieving bastards.
I can't remember
Is
the
it
name
Legion?
of it.
The Legion or something like that. The other one.
Hold on, then I can see it in my. I can see I can see the people that were in it. That Dominic West used to be in the
Excuse
Wire.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. Yeah, there was two films pretty much at the same time. Came out, same,
Like
very
they
very
do in
similar
pairs.
story.
James Smith has calmed down a bit.
That's because you stopped talking about him, you fucking muppet.
Who was this?
Oh,
what was this guy?
It Centurion?
He was at.
Don't
He was-
don't start.
No,
You'll set him
don't,
off again.
don't,
Don't start
don't.
again.
No,
Don't
the
set
other
him off
film.
again.
The other film.
We've
Was
had our fun. Come on, it's just cruel now.
the
Yeah,
other film.
calm
Was
down.
that called Centurion?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest,
What was-
that's probably the better film out of both of them. And they're not
Chapman's
great.
out
That's
yet
probably the
again.
better film.
Well, there's a new Robin Hood where it's like depicting like fantasy medieval England where every third person was black apparently.
Oh,
Incredible.
brilliant. Well,
Oh, Guy Ritchie's never been the same since he married Madonna, has he? Oh, speaking
oh
of
yeah,
thoughts-
he did the last one, didn't he?
yeah. Speaking of thoughts, did you know Jordan's bankrupt?
What?
What a shame.
Jordan
just-
Jordan went
She's
bankrupt
through
today.
£42 million or something.
45. They
the
reckon
silly bitch.
45, and she still owes 800,000.
Why? How did she manage that?
I think was it she has
Botox.
plastic surgery every year. I think
Abortions.
I can't remember the period it's over, but a heating bill is about £2,000. I think that's like £2,000 a year because she just leaves the heating on permanently.
Right.
If you got 42 million, I don't think 2,000.
£2,000 a year.
I don't think £2,000 a year is going to affect your 42 million pound
Well, I suppose it
wealth,
adds up
is
if
it?
you're not paying it.
I mean, you'd think that, because obviously she hasn't been relevant for like a long time, but
Yeah,
like
fuck, she's not
15,
gonna
20
get-
years ago,
she's not gonna
like
get
you'd
that
think
money
she'd
back, is
have
she?
just made money and I don't know,
Yeah,
not.
yeah, and invested it would have been a good idea.
It's a sick society that lets someone like that, and she's not even good looking.
No, she's not.
But
Well,
this
she
is the
completely
this
agree,
is-
mate.
was
but
she?
this is the problem. This is the problem, lads, because I know the rest of you with more socialistic monetary policies will like say, "Oh my god, I think it's sick that so much money was given to this utter thought." And my response is, yeah, but we also live in a really decent society that, over the course of time took it all away from her as well. Come on, I'm just saying. Maybe the free market, if we just leave it alone, market forces
So
will
it's-
indeed sort out this little issue
So
by
here's the
itself.
stories. She bought a pink horse box for 300 grand. She owes 800k in debts. What else?
I must say I'm quite enjoying this story.
This is a bit more light-hearted.
Yeah, it's definitely. It's
Yeah,
as good
I
as
thought I'd finish off with a nice light-hearted one.
absolutely.
Price, who's been married 3 times and has 5 children, is believed to have debts of 800 grand and has been failing to pay 12 grand a month to her creditors.
Gee.
She's 100 grand in arrears on mortgage repayments. She's believed to have spent 120,000 on housekeepers, gardeners, and nannies, all around and around 25 grand a year on plastic surgery. She spends $1,500 a week on manicures
Money
and
well
pedicures,
spent.
1,000 on hair appointments, and 800 on massages every other day. Reported the Daily Mirror.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I think that basically she's under grand in debt to the bank, but she's still spending the money like she's got 40 odd million in the bank. That's this woman's problem.
Sounds
She's
like
too
it.
thick to realise.
Or she got everything off Bright House.
Jesus Christ! In March, it was revealed she'd been on 6 holidays in 8 months, including trips to Spain, Belgium, and Thailand, estimated to have cost a total of 25 grand.
Look, lads, do you think that there might be something else at play? Do you think that she might be, spending her money on on some white powder that costs quite a lot per gram? And no, I'm not talking about Tesco, Waitrose own brand washing detergent. Do you think it could be something else?
Also, last week, her beloved pink 75 grand Range Rover was sold at auction and then put up for sale at an Essex used car dealership in Chelmsford.
Oh, it couldn't have happened to a nicer person.
Absolutely, mate.
Oh dear.
Jesus
Hang on.
Christ.
So what's her full name? Let me actually get a picture of this
It's
woman.
Katie Price, isn't it? Her proper full name.
Katie Price.
She's like she's one of the tribe.
One of them.
No, I think she looks like.
Holy shit! Jesus Christ, she's an ugly bin. Fucking hell.
She does. She looks
Oh.
like a. She does. She looks like a bulldog licking piss off a thistle. Imagine that.
Have you seen the pictures- have you seen the pictures
Somehow
of her
the
when she
media really tried to meme that she was hot. I don't know.
Have you seen the pictures?
Even
when
as
she was
a horny
16?
teenager.
She wasn't. There was nothing to work with in the first place.
No, I guess maybe the body you could be like, okay, maybe, but
See, even as a
Look,
fucking horny teenager, it did not do a thing for me.
No.
I was just like, back when page 3 was a thing. You get hold of page 3 in the fucking sun. I open it up, see it, I go, oh no, fuck no. I'm gonna go back to the sports.
I'm just fucking looking at that. I mean, she's got bigger thighs than a fucking prop forward. Jesus fuck.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's the face that puts me off. It's just
I know,
rammed
it's
full of Botox.
just all I can look at that. All I'm thinking is welder's bench. I just Jesus Christ. Oh,
Yeah.
that is. I'm just sorry. For those in the live stream, I'm just putting a few photos in the Discord group, which you should join if you're not already a member.
Yeah.
Just that with some of her faces, she looks like a demon.
She does that weird lip licking
She
thing
does.
as well, don't she? Have you? I don't know if you've seen any footage of. She has this weird lip licking thing that just looks really odd.
Ugh. It's got that 1,000 cock stare.
That few.
I think we had a 0 on the end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at this, and it just reminds me of just. I'm looking at some pictures of it now. It just reminds me of like a gypsy wedding.
Chips.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It looks like a leather sofa that's been left in your garden.
It's like it's not even like she had a golden personality either. Yeah.
No, that's right. She wasn't a bundle of intelligence either. You know.
No.
She wasn't going to worry Mensa or anything.
Dwight York did the right thing. Then that feeling when Dwight York was right.
Yep. He saw the writing on the wall, mate. Fuck
Yeah. He did a panda, didn't he? Eat, shoots, and leaves.
Yep.
Hey.
Oh dear. What else we got? I've got another story in the stack. Did you see that there was a flood somewhere and there was that like lesbian police officer? Did you see? Police top copper. Did you see that one?
Is that the one that resigned because people took the piss out of her barnet?
That's it. Yeah.
What?
She had like
that haircut is abominable.
No, I don't think she resigned, but she's left Twitter over hairstyle abuse.
Fucking hell. Oh, that's what we need. That's what we've got.
Oh, there's one I forgot to put in with the Glasgow talk. Glasgow drug addicts are going to get pure heroin for free on the NHS.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. Let's just rein that back in, because at first it's like funny in clown world, but like, is there any more information about why they're doing this?
How can you moan at this as a libertarian? Is it because it's on the NHS?
Yeah.
If it was freely available in news agents, you'd be
starting to sink in.
It's because it's on the NHS. That is not actually wrong.
If it was freely available in news agents, you'd be fine with it.
You ever pause for a moment and you think they're giving them free heroin on the NHS, and the part of that sentence that you disagree with? Oh God!
See, the capitalist part of me says I could make a fortune.
Okay, yeah, but you think about it, like this fucker, like to make an ounce of heroin is something like 10 quid, and on the black market, that ounce will go for something like four grand, 5,000, or something. So I can understand that what they might be trying to do is, look, if we just give them the fucking drug, they might stop breaking into people's houses. And I sort of understand the logic, even if I don't think it's.
Well, if they give them double the dose, they'll finish the problem permanently.
Oh, that's cold but logical.
That's
fascinating. You mean like a 10-cent pistol kind of thing? You know?
Yeah.
The most efficient one is the fascist one. Is round them the fuck up, throw them in a cell, let them detox, sweat it out, and then set them to work. Fucking that simple. But no. Apparently, it's more humane to let someone kill themselves, mug old ladies, and fucking, overdose in alleys. I've seen fucking heroin addicts. They are like so, and I do pity them. I genuinely do.
The problem's sorted itself out.
It is a fucking like.
They become less than human. They do genuinely become like, fucking the strength on them as well. When it's like if you see like a ghoul or something that needs to drink blood to survive, it's like we used to always have problems. We looked at where I sort of used to work. We used to double up our guards when it was coming to all sort of middle of the month and they've spaffed all their gyro money. So they'd be out on the rob trying to, get their fix. And when we would catch them, we would always double up because fucking hell, they would know they would be going into custody for at least 24 hours, be shooting up. And they knew how shit it was going to be. So, yeah, they would get pretty fucking nasty.
And this is the thing, like Jackson, I'm sure you've seen it in your job. If I remember what you do, is it something security related or so? Yeah. You must have seen, and I know I've seen it on early morning deliveries occasionally. Have you ever seen two skagheads fighting over like what they both believe to be their drugs?
I'll do you one better.
Jesus Christ!
I'll do you one better. This is probably the most depressing thing I've ever seen. It was someone drink methadone. The little green shot of methadone outside one of the things. Drink methadone, throw it up, and then another man lick it up.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ, that is grim.
Wow.
Fucking grim, son.
It was, yeah, it genuinely.
The worst part of it is that I'm not even calling into question whether that story's real or not, because I already fucking know it's real. That's the
mate.
worst of it. I want to believe that it isn't real, and
I
you're just
wish,
making it up.
I genuinely
just...
wish, but no, it was like what? Yeah, I think I just went home that night, had me beer, and I was just like, that's ruined my fucking week.
That is fucking grim.
So yeah, round them up, literally round them up, put them separate cells, let them detox. It's not going to kill them. You don't die from heroin withdrawals. It's not like alcohol withdrawals.
Do you know what?
where
I
you can
completely agree
seize
with that because I've had a family member who's been a heroin addict. Well, he ain't anymore. He's not around anymore, and I would completely agree with Jackson on that.
Yeah, and it is, and it would be the kind of thing to do. We've become so fucking weak and so we fetishize freedom so much, and I partly blame the Americans for this. Everything, yeah.
Well, that's the one culture we could never fight off, isn't it? It's the American culture. That's the one that's truly destroyed us, isn't it?
It's really done no favours at all.
I'd rein that back in and say, with respect, that the American, I suppose, vaguely individualist, sort of based on, I suppose, Enlightenment principles to an extent, is that it's not simply an American culture; it is ours. I'm sorry, lads, but we do have to own that one, because remember, the foundation of America and the principles and cornerstones on which it stands are English. The Constitution, the American Constitution, is almost a carbon copy rewrite of the English Bill of Rights of 1688 to 89. And as well as it holding many of our laws and our customs and even to an extent British legal heritage and tradition within those laws. And I'm not going to completely shit on it, because things like property rights and freedom of speech and such like I do still quite agree with. But at the same time, especially when you're dealing with skagheads, like I can see the mercy in your outlook. I really can.
You can't reason with them, mate. I'll tell you that for free. I've dealt with it firsthand, and the stuff that my cousin behaved like is fucking repulsive. They will do anything and everything to get what they want.
It is sad. It is genuinely. We had such fucking shit from. I remember one of them dead now. He was like a persistent offender, and in one of his sort of rare moments of lucidity, when we basically fucked him off because he was banned from everywhere for thieving and violence, and but in one of his rare moments of lucidity, he turned around. Mate, it's nothing personal. And I said, all right, fair enough. And I think that's the last conversation we ever had, because he had overdone a week later. And yeah, it just drives people. This is why the whole sort of the relax on drugs, decriminalise drug things, I find that a repulsive fucking argument, because all it'll be is a case of the government just making more tax off it. They'll just legalise it, regulate it, and they'll get more money, and people will still use street drugs. So no, it's an absolutely.
Well, the problem.
We need more law.
The only way to stop it would be a solution that no government, no current like lily-livered government would actually do. It's got to be like the Duterte method, isn't it? Where
I like the Duterte method. I don't particularly. Duterte. I don't agree with using vigilantes because. Well, obvious reasons.
Yeah.
You're getting drug gangs killing other drug gangs, collecting bounties on them.
Yeah. Which
is a bit shit, but, having your own sort of police do that and imposing the death penalty for drug smugglers and a lot of hard drug peddlers as well.
It's like summertime.
I think Pinochet did,
when you have the dumb bitch wants some easy money, so she tries drug smuggling in fucking Thailand. You always get one of those stories in the summer, don't you?
Yeah, but with respect, and this is coming from me, lads. So things are bad. But to give a bit of credence to the situation posed by 8-Bit and Jack, is that how many death sentences have to happen before dumb cunts start realizing it's not worth it?
As many as it takes.
Exactly. It's
as many as it takes, because at the end of the day, you're not ridding your society of good people.
Well,
I'm very pro death penalty for quite a number of things, not just like murder and things like that. But yeah, it will be as many as it takes, and eventually, there will still be people that do it, but you're not going to see people in town centres off their tits on spice.
well,
on regulations on a lot of things, even alcohol.
If you want some sobering statistics, experts say there are estimated to be a hardcore of 500 very, very vulnerable addicts in Glasgow. So that's just the very vulnerable. The city alone has an estimated 13,600 drug users, a worrying 32% of its population. Drug-related deaths in Scotland soared to 1,187 last year, the highest since records began in 1996.
Yeah, and the solution to that is not. They did a needle drive as well, like, sterile needles for them. Which, yeah, I get it, to stop transmission rates, but that's not what's killing them. It's not the blood-borne illnesses that are normally killing them. It's normally people that get clean. They end up in prison for a stretch. Their tolerance drops because they can't get heroin inside. They come out. They think they can take the same amount that they used to, and then they end up overdosing because opiate. I think opiate has quite a short half-life when it comes to your sort of tolerances. So if you give it up for a while, you'll need a lot less. But yeah, that's what tends to happen.
Mm-hmm. Just on the subject of this, gentleman, because I know this is meant to be a fairly light-hearted comedy stream, but we seem to be getting through it tonight.
I think we've left that one behind, the light-hearted stuff.
Yeah, but come on. We've got a security guard, a truck driver, a father, and a few other guys who do a lot of working class professions. So let's go sort the country out. And because obviously we got a guest on today, I'm interested, Jackson, about your prohibition / regulation standpoint on various substances. And lads, since we're bringing this up as well, obviously 8-bit Flash. Geralt, Grey, by all means, if we could get something going on this, what's your outlook on it? Give me the principle of Jackson's theocratic alcohol regulation scheme, etc. So I said I'm actually curious.
It's more on the sort of grander scale, and it would be a big economic knock. That's the only sort of downside I can really see to it. But you've got a massive problem with drinking culture. And
yeah,
I fucking fully hold my hands up now. I like the occasional drink, and I occasionally like to get a bit spasticated. We all do. But the sort of strain that, I've worked clubs before, and I fucking despise them. They are.
Yeah, I've seen loads of stories and everything where people are coming out pissed up and everything, and they're acting like complete degenerates and everything, aren't they? And the pictures and everything, yeah.
Yeah, and this, I would definitely say this comes more from a Catholic sort of standpoint than a practical political standpoint, because I know the revenue is there, and problems there would be if you tried to, ban nightclubs or something, because that's what I would ideally do, is fucking get rid of nightclubs.
Yeah.
Go back to the old pub drinking establishments, because that was so much of a community thing as well.
Well, this has been my idea for a while. What you'd do is you'd just reverse the taxes, so you drop the taxes on drinking in a pub, and raise the taxes on drinking from a supermarket, wouldn't you? To get people drinking together, and a bit of peer pressure going to stop people getting pissed.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. Social, innit?
Yeah.
You want the social aspect of drinking, not just sitting at home watching TV
National,
on your own.
And
clubs are shit.
You think
well.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
You think about that Jackson, you might not have thought about this angle before, but if by doing that, by banning nightclubs, the quality of EDM music, right, will go through the fucking roof, because loads of kids will, instead fucking about with nightclubs, listening to shit that came out of Radio 1, will actually be listening to bootleg mixes in an underground warehouse right back in 1993. So if you think about it, that by prohibition, by basically fascist theocracy of alcohol and club nights, will actually improve the youth's taste in electronic music again. Fucking hell. I'm all for that. That'd be
That's
brilliant.
it. I fucking won over the libertarian. Man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I don't have to listen to shit EDM on Radio 2 anymore when I'm having to like load in a warehouse or something like that, then fuck, that's worth giving up nightclubs. Fuck it, I'll have that in an instant. Anyway, 8-bit. Let's go to you. What's your outlook on the prohibition reg stuff for drink and drugs, etc., and all the naughties?
With regard to drugs, and with Jackson on that one, I don't think legalizing drugs is gonna solve it. Like I said, I've got like, first-hand experience with the heroin thing. It's not fun. I mean, people don't really see the scale of it until it's in your face, and that's the scary thing about it. But with regards to the drink, I agree with the nightclubs are fucking shocking. They're shit. They cause degenerate behavior. I think a much more social thing. I wouldn't ban alcohol, definitely not, but I would definitely have more of a like the social pub thing. People could go down there, they socialize, they get together. I think that's what I would like.
So pretty much my standpoint on it. You mean?
Yeah.
Bring back gentlemen's clubs. Bring back proper gentlemen's clubs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gentlemen's clubs. Yeah, exactly. Things like that. Rather than people go into a fucking nightclub. You know, there's nothing wrong with having fun, but it's the way that it gets out of control.
The thing is, it's not even fun. I mean, I started working doors when I was 18, so I twigged straight away what it was all about. And it's not fun. You're paying stupid money for drinks. You can't hear a fucking word. It's a powder keg. At any point, it's a powder keg. You look at someone the wrong way. If he's been sniffing brave powder up his nose, you glance at him wrong, you're going to be fighting. The bouncers are highly strung. A lot of them gear as well. And yeah, you're not going to have a fucking good time there. You're going to spend a load of money. You're going to maybe take some, STD-ridden thought home.
Where's this?
Wherever you go, Garol. You've just woken Garol.
Well, actually, I'm yet to catch an STD. Who am I kidding? I haven't been to the clinic in a while, boys, so... But no, you're right. Most of the people, it depends who you're with, but, like, yeah, most people from be cunts. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've got my own shit. I didn't do grey, mate.
I quite advocate in the degenerate between the years of 18 and 21 drinking too much, kind of learning how to. I think it's a bit of a rite of passage learning how to drink.
Oh, everyone's done it. I mean, I'm not second
done.
I don't like get pissed every now and again. But this is the thing: is when I get pissed, I'm not in an environment like I would never. For example, I've got a bit of a fucking temper, as you might have guessed from the thing with the pagan.
Never.
I find that hard to believe.
Not a fascist security guard who's a mega cat. Having a temper and he likes a drink. Never. Fuck off, Jackson. How could you say such heresy on this live stream?
I have had some shit nights out though, and then I've had some really good ones. Usually when you pull an attractive woman who doesn't have STDs
that you know about.
That you know.
That you know about.
But anyway, this is the problem, lad.
Every time you I think this is more true for men, but yeah, every time you have casual sex with someone new, your ability to pair bond just shrinks that extra little bit.
I think it happens. I think both sexes and all, because yeah, women it is slightly different. But like I said, I would never encourage my son to go out and fuck around. Obviously, I'd be telling my daughters, when you're 18, you're going to a convent. I don't give a fuck. But I wouldn't be saying on that same thing like a lot of. Like when I was brought up, it was rite of passage, go out, pull a bourbon. No, never. I would never sort of encourage that shit because I wouldn't expect it from a fucking woman. I wouldn't expect it from my sons either. I would much rather my sons marry young, have kids, do it the sort of Catholic way, not be out fucking banging everything left, right, and centre.
I don't know. That does sound like the Catholic way.
I think.
Sorry, I mean, there's got to be some shit said in the confessional booth for that, lad. I mean, that's three Hail Marys and a plea.
But in fairness, they are married, so
yeah. But
that actually makes it work.
I don't know. Guys, there's a really fine line actually that you need to hit between between like sheltering and alienation, and teaching them to generally be able to cope with the world and be able to associate well with other people. It's just that the current paradigm encourages debauchery, but if you shelter children from that, they're not going to be able to deal with it when they actually go to the real world.
But you don't shelter them, you just tell them to absolutely fucking reject it. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't say like, you can't go to the pub with your mates or whatever when you're fucking 18. But what I'm more saying is like, look, there's things that are fucking expected of you. That because it's going to be drummed into them from a young age. I'm not doing the whole fucking they can choose whether they want to follow religion when they're old. No, fuck.
Religious girls are the worst.
Yeah, well,
they're the worst. Like I'm just, like, I don't know. There's something happens where they get that bit of independence. They go off and get their education, and then it's over.
Well,
they're not the same person anymore.
The dodgiest fucking kid in all of the school was either the vicar's kid or the copper's kid. They were the fucking worst.
Exactly.
The worst, biggest fucking thief out, weren't they?
I don't know. I'll put that down. That's probably fucking liberal parenting. I don't think.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't think that you should ever let your kids rebel, because a lot of things they accept like,
I saw that post.
We're going for a rebellious.
Well, this is interesting, because I don't think many generations of before have really had, how would you put it, like actual fasci-based parents. It's been like either conservative, religious, kind of in this really cookie way, but there's never been actual fasci guidance parents, Well,
in the past, mate, there was a lot of proper conservative values. The only way it changed really was in the late 50s, when you had the emergence of the teenager, and then into the 60s. And that's where you get modern society.
Yes, wasn't it?
You don't, if you predate the 1950s, you had the Second World War, and then before that, there was society was a lot more conservative.
Yeah,
the sexual revolution was an absolute disaster.
Youngsters didn't go out behaving and going out getting pissed up and stuff like that. They just didn't do that. That just didn't happen, and that's the conservative.
I guess the image that springs to mind for me is really cookie Christian parents, and that's just not going to do the kids any favors. There's a really,
that's not
I guess the whole paradigm you approach Christian. It from has to be different.
It's liberal, isn't it?
It's the same shit.
No, yeah, but this is the problem, mate. It also comes down to genetics at the end of the day. Like, I do want to just give everyone a little bit of a grey, possibly white pill. Is that especially if you shack up with a bird, right, and she thinks in either apolitical or roughly the certain way that you do, right, your children are probably going to turn out like you, probably in the same social class, probably in the same rough area of the planet, of the country, of the nation, whatever, probably doing a job that is about on your level, and after they turn 30, they'll probably have about the same opinions, right? It's one of those things. I think everyone really dresses it up, and I think I really just have to put it out there. The very best thing that you can do to alleviate this is just marry well. I hate to say it. It's don't marry a Jippo. Do not shack up with someone who nick bikes.
Right, Dutch supermodel or nothing.
Exactly.
Jippo's a proper chaste. You should know. You know that, don't you?
Hemming, why are you so quiet?
I don't know. I'm sneaking away from the mic. Pikeys are proper chaste. They won't have sex before marriage.
No, they're just right.
Yeah, they get married about 8 years old, bro.
The girls don't. I'll put it that way.
I've never seen one.
I don't think we should ever be holding them up as a fucking standard for anything. Oh, really? If you've got to the point where you say, right, but the pikeys do... No. That's when you've lost the argument. Okay.
Let's model our society after the pikeys.
That's it. Go and take a shit in your front garden. Throw out a washing machine.
Pikey nationalism. Pikey nationalism. Caravan full of shite in a lay-by.
So are we talking about Irish people or Romanians?
Either. They're all the same.
Okay.
Same thing.
Same shit. I don't think I've ever caught a live one, boys. I've never. If I've seen
genuinely-
one, I haven't known.
You'll
Mate,
know.
run a
You'll know
mile,
because you'll know 'cause they look
Run
like
a mile.
hookers. The females look like hookers. They wear very bright clothes.
I thought,
Yeah,
no, it's not like that. Hookers look like pikeys. Let's be quite
Yeah.
honest. It's the other way around.
I'm not averse to a punch up, but seriously, when because you can spot them a mile off, they're all big. Whenever I see them, and
I don't know.
I'll walk away from that. I'm not going to fucking fight them.
I get like a sixth sense. I don't know. It's like I can sense when there's one around. I don't know why.
Yeah, you get that when I walk through town. Think,
Yeah.
best avoid that.
Yeah.
pikey senses are tingling.
So they just steal shit and like start fights everywhere. And what do they do?
They generally park up on land that's not theirs. Don't
They're a fucking doorman's worst nightmare.
they? I bet.
Oh,
Oh.
I
Because
bet.
you try
Mate,
telling
do-
them, and all, because a lot of pubs will say, I don't want any of them in it. Because the politically correct term is travellers. And they say, right, I don't want you to let any travellers in tonight. And you're standing there on your own, and you're going, are you having a fucking laugh? They're going to rock up in a van. They're massive. They all know how to fight. And it isn't a meme. These boys can fucking fight. They are hard as fuck. And you've got to stand there and say, not tonight, boys. And I say, oh, why is that? And you've got to fucking quickly make something up on the spot when your brains are screaming because you're a pikey.
what do you say?
You've got trainers on.
I think the one time I did actually have to actually turn around and say, well, politely, it's because you're a pikey. And thankfully, they fucked off. But yeah, that was...
Yeah. In the trade, we call them the diesel fairies. Need I say more? I actually asked some bloke, what happens if I'm at the truck stop and I see one of them drilling my tank? He says, what are you going to do? Stop them. You know what I mean? They're a force of fucking nature. It's like, you know,
I'm not going to say what we should do, but
They're not like more poisonous animals where they're more scared of you than you are of them. It's the other way around.
Okay.
There was that massive sighting, and they were saying it would cost like £1 billion to remove them. I remember thinking to myself, "Oh,
What?
that much? Yeah, it was going to cost like £1 billion to move them on." And I thought to myself, "Wow, that must be one really strong flamethrower."
Does anyone know the roads out towards Peterborough when you're heading out towards Eye and you're coming up on that roundabout with McDonald's on it? And there's a pikey camp there. I think they were doing a raid one morning because it took me 5 minutes to drive by all the police vehicles. I think they had everything but boats out. I think.
They've gone to get the horses, and the police had to go.
I know that there's one on the M4 somewhere between Reading and London that I said that was near one of my drops that I had to do a couple of months ago. And I was speaking to the bloke who was on the forklift, and he says, yeah, we've got bigger gates now, which is good because it's not theft. I'm like, all right. He said, yeah, the police won't go there. Yeah, they asked some questions and sent a car, and they needed to come in with a search warrant, and they wouldn't open the gate. I just told them to fuck off.
The police probably did as well, because
Yeah. I mean, it's not even worth it, is it? Yeah.
no, it really isn't. It's just
Because it's one of those things where if you ever want to take them fucking down, if there's two of them, there'll be 40. If it comes to a fight, it's not.
you've got a man. The first thing is as well. Think right. These boys, they grow up fighting. They grow up fucking, and everyone thinks, oh, they're just sluggers, but they can box clever. And I've seen them. They can really box clever. Because otherwise, they're punch drunk by the age of 9. So it's fucking yeah. They're. I would. Even at the risk and with the experience of being stabbed, if I had to choose between a JCB and one of our wonderful travelling community, I would pick the JCB every time, unless he was holding a fucking shotgun.
yeah.
And even then, you'd have a good think about it.
Even then, I would still. Yeah.
Because it is the thing. It's like if you ever have to confront them, as I've heard secondhand from other people who unfortunately have. Is that you're a phone call? Is that it's one phone call for 5 minutes and there's fucking 20 of these fuckers?
I was going to say,
Oh yeah, they will.
Are they like the
fucking
Cousin
kick
Brothers?
shit
Are
out
they?
of you.
Are they like the Cousin Brothers, where they just appear out of nowhere?
Yeah, but the problem is unlike the Cousin Brothers, they've got just enough height, just enough of IQ, not quite average, but just enough IQ in order to coordinate properly, which means they're the worst.
Sorry, I've heard stories of them literally rocking up on horses to fucking pub fights. I don't know how. I would not put it past them. I don't know how true it is. I will say, disclaimer, I've not seen it with my own eyes, but apparently they do rock up on fucking horses to pub fights as well. If there's one nearby, it's like a distress beacon. You know, if you stamp on a wasp, apparently the last thing it does before it dies is send out a pheromone for other wasps to come and kick the shit out of you. I think that's what they do.
Is it like rabbits where they just like thump the ground or something, do they?
It's like if a drop of their blood hits the floor, it's like a bat signal goes up.
It does a searchlight just shine in the sky with the silhouette of a bike wheel.
Scrap metal recycle.
A silhouette of a roll of notes.
Oh, man, or just the chemical symbol for lead.
Yeah, church roof.
Yeah.
Oh dear. We've been going for we've been going for 3 hours. We're gonna have to wind this up in a minute. Finish your podcast, and then we're done.
Fucking hell, yeah.
Oh mate, fucking hell. But yeah, this is anyway. But this is the thing. I mean, if only we could use their powers for good. But you know, and then I woke up.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you had nationalist pikeys? The game, it'd be over, wouldn't it? The thing would be over.
Mate, I swear that's how Ireland got its independence. It was just the Vikings were just, I don't have enough fucking bikes to steal. You know?
It's
Irish people are fucking weird.
They are,
yeah, but they're not Irish.
They are.
As Brad Pitt said in Snatch, they're not English, they're not Irish, they're just pikey.
You know what? I'll give him his dues. He actually played that quite well because, yeah, they are fucking unintelligible half the time. They don't look like as scruffy as they look like nowadays. They've got the sort of.
They have that like disarming body language as well, don't they? You know, he does all the furtive looking and the thing. You know, the way they look around and like they lower their head, but they're like scouting constantly, aren't they?
They're shifty. They are, yeah. They are
Shifty.
but fuck me, they can fight. You never, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't fucking do backing down from fights, but yeah, if they nick something, yeah, well, unless you really need it, they can have it.
And on that note, I think we really are going to have to wrap up because we've been on here 3 hours. Where can everybody find you, Jackson?
I've got YouTube is Jackson. For some reason, if you type Jackson into the search, I've only for about 2 years, but it auto corrects it to Jackson, so I won't come up. You have to click it because it will auto correct it to Jackson.
Yeah.
So unless you want fucking pictures of Michael Jackson or whatever, it's the wrong one. And I'm over at Twitter at JacksonYT. But yeah, cheers for having me on, boys. It's been quite a laugh.
Oh, I've really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, nice one.
No.